The Judicial District of Ansonia, Milford is now open and in session in its place. The Honorable Judge Murphy presiding. Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. You may be seated. So we are back here in session today on day 2 of the trial of State of Connecticut versus Jose Morales. I would ask counsel to please place your appearances on the record for purposes of today's proceedings.
Howard Stein, Supervisory Assistant State's Attorney for the State, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mark Durso for the State.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Edward Gavin for Jose Morales, who's seated to my left.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Morales. So I'll just note for the record, it's my understanding that Mr. Morales is here unrestrained, correct, counsel?
Yes.
All right, and also that he does have on business casual attire. Are there any issues that need to be brought to the court's attention prior to calling the jury in this morning?
None from the defense.
Not from the State, Your Honor.
All right. So I am going to be advising the jury that they must keep in mind that any and all communications should be to the court through a note, and that they should not be attempting to speak to the clerk. So I will put on the record, there was a conversation disclosed that one of the jurors thought she had a concern, but it was misinterpreted that her name had been mentioned in the news. However, upon further clarification by the clerk's office, that was not a concern. It was a concern of a family member, not hers. She has no issue with it. Does anyone seek additional voir dire of that particular juror by any chance?
None from the defense, Your Honor.
Not from the State,
All
Your
right,
Honor.
and I just don't want them to bring these items up again in the future with the clerk's office. I want everything to be put in a note. Okay, so I will be instructing the jury of that as well. So, Madam Clerk, we'll bring the jury in. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome back. All right, welcome back, members of our jury. Today, we start day 2 of evidence. I would ask counsel to please stipulate to the return of all of our jurors here today.
Stipulate to the presence of the jury, Your Honor.
State as well, Your Honor.
All right, so I just do wish to remind the jurors of one of the instructions that I provided at the beginning of the trial. And that instruction is that you should not be having any communication with court staff, and any communications you wish to make with the court must be in writing, dated and signed by you as the juror, again, without disclosing the substance or nature of your concern to your fellow jurors. And that note should be submitted to the marshal or a clerk. Just submit the note, and then the court will open the note and find out the nature of any concern, and it will be addressed appropriately, okay? And the parties will also be made aware of the contents of the note, and we will have a discussion and find out what steps we need to take moving forward, okay? So I just wanted to put that out there. Just in case anyone has any type of concern, please just put it in writing and submit it to the clerk or the marshal without telling any of your fellow jurors, and it will make its way to me, okay? Thank you so much. With that, is the state ready to call its next witness?
I am, Your Honor.
Thank you so much.
Officer Christopher Kelly.
Okay. Good morning. Please step up into the witness stand. Madam Clerk will put you under oath.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear, solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, and state your badge number for the record, please.
My first name is Christopher. The last name is Kelly, Kelley, and my badge number is 5858.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Morning, Officer Kelly.
Morning.
First, going to just ask you to pull yourself up as close as you can to that mic. It does not amplify very well. It's more for recording your testimony. If you can keep your voice up for us, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can you tell us, first of all, who are you employed by?
The Ansonia Police Department.
In what capacity?
I'm a patrolman with the Ansonia Police Department.
How long have you been employed by the Ansonia Police Department?
I've been with the Ansonia Police Department for 12 years.
Do you have any other law enforcement background before joining the Ansonia Police Department?
No.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background, your training, and experience as becoming a police officer and what you've done over the 12 years as a police officer?
Yes. I spent 33 weeks at the police academy, graduated the police academy, worked on the road here with the Ansonia Police Department, and during my time since, I've held positions with the department, field training officer, which is a position that's awarded to an officer that's in a position to train new officers coming into the department. I've been a shift supervisor, which is called an officer in charge. In the absence of a supervisor, you would run a shift. In addition to that, I currently instruct 10 different categories for our department and throughout the state.
I want to call your attention to December of 2019. Were you employed by the City of Ansonia Police Department in December of 2019?
Yes.
Specifically, I want to bring you to December the 2nd of 2019, Monday. Do you recall whether you were working on that day?
I do.
And do you recall what your shift assignment was that day?
I covered the east side sector of the city.
Would that include the area of Myrtle Avenue between Judson, West, and Cottage?
Yes, it would.
And what shift hours were you working that day?
That day I worked a B shift patrol, which for our department is from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Sometime at around just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, did you, withdrawn. As a patrol officer, can you describe the nature of what you do? Is it road work? Are you in the station? How does that work?
Typically, we're on the road responding to calls for service and proactively deterring crime, protecting citizens, specifically life and property.
Somewhere before 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday, December the 2nd of 2019, do you recall where you were?
At that time, I was patrolling the east side sector and responded to a call for service at 6.5 Myrtle Ave.
And do you recall approximately what time that was?
Approximately about 10 minutes of 1.
And the call that you were dispatched to, do you know the nature of what the dispatch was?
Yes, the call had come in at a request for a welfare check to make contact with a female resident at 6.5 Myrtle Ave, identified as a Christine Holloway. And the caller was seeking that we make contact with her because she had not reported for work.
And did you make your way to 6.5 Myrtle?
Yes, I did.
And did you arrive ultimately at 6.5 Myrtle?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell the jury what the weather conditions were like at that time when you arrived at 6.5 Myrtle?
The weather conditions at that time, it was pretty cold out. It had started to snow earlier in the day. There was some accumulation of fresh snow on the sidewalks and in the grass, as well as the front of the residence, the walkway leading up to the residence.
When you arrived on Myrtle Ave, do you recall where you parked?
I do.
And where did you park?
I parked in front of number 6, which is the property that would be directly to the right of 6.5 Myrtle if you were looking at the front door of the residence.
And what action did you take upon your arrival?
Upon arriving to the residence, it's normal protocol. Do I call out to dispatch that you've arrived on scene? I notified them of my arrival, exited my patrol vehicle. I walked up the sidewalk to 6.5 Myrtle and attempted contact at the front of the residence.
Did you make any observations as you were walking towards the front door area with regard to any snow coverage or anything that could be in the snow?
Yes, as I approached the residence, it stood out to me that there were no footprints in the snow, either coming from or leading to the residence. It didn't appear that anyone had either come or gone at that time.
And when you approached the door, what, if anything, happened?
As I approached the front of the residence, I attempted contact. I noticed that there was a window to the left of the front door. I had knocked at that window as well as giving a good firm knock at the front door to try to make contact with anyone inside.
All right, so breaking this down, first of all, step by step. At the time of this incident where you issued an Ansonia Police Department body-worn camera,
Yes, I was.
and when you exited your patrol car, did you activate your body-worn camera?
I did not activate the camera immediately, no.
Okay. Did Ansonia, how new were body cameras at that time to the Ansonia Police Department?
The body-worn cameras were fairly new. They were issued to us in connection with a grant from the state through the Police Accountability Bill.
Now, with regard to the protocols that were in place at that time, was there a policy with regard to body cam usage?
Yes, the policy at that time dictated that officers involved in a public interaction would activate their body-worn cameras upon that interaction beginning.
So when you first approached the door, was your body camera activated at that time?
Not at the initial response to the front door, no.
So was it your testimony that you knocked at the front door?
Yes.
Did you make any observations at that time with regard to the presence or absence of any mailboxes?
There were 2 mailboxes at the front of the residence. One was labeled with the name Holloway, and the other, I don't recall if it had a name on it, but it was not Holloway. And there appeared to be mail in the mailbox that was not labeled. And the mail, I did check it, and it did say Christine Holloway on it.
And after you checked that mailbox, where did you go to next?
After I checked the mailbox, I believe I knocked at the front door to try to make contact with anyone inside.
And after knocking at the front door, where did you go to next?
I activated my body-worn camera, anticipating an interaction with anyone that may be home. After a brief period of time, no one came to the door, and I walked back out to the street and back to my patrol vehicle.
I'm just, for point of clarification, you mentioned earlier that you knocked at a window. When in the steps did you knock on a window?
As I initially approached and I realized that the window was there, I knocked at the window, then I knocked at the front door.
Okay. How many times did you knock at the front door?
Once.
Okay. So when approaching the property, the first place you went to was a window?
Yes.
Okay. And then you came to the front door.
Yes.
And when you knocked at the front door, what did you do at that point with regard to your body-worn camera?
Upon knocking on the front doors when I activated my body-worn camera.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
Showing you Officer Kelly, what has been marked States 13. Have you previously seen what this item is before?
Yes, I have.
And do you recognize any of the writing on it?
I do. My initials and badge number.
Is this a copy of the body-worn camera together with the still image from the body-worn camera from December 2nd of 2019.
Yes, that's how it's labeled.
And did you see this item prior to coming into court today?
Yes, I did.
And is that when you placed your initials and your badge number on this DVD?
Yes, it is.
And was it a fair and accurate representation of your body-worn camera together with the still image that was captured from it?
Yes, it was.
I'll offer this, Your Honor, states 13.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, no objection. Court will accept into evidence states 13 as full.
Chelsea, so now, stop it when the body comes on over the buffer. Now, Officer Kelly, there was a period of time after the video started that there was no audio, no volume. Are you able to explain why that is for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
Yes. The way the body-worn camera operates, from the time that you activate it, there's a buffer period. The recording system will capture approximately 30 seconds of video prior to activation, and there's no sound during that time period. Once the camera is activated by the officer, you will get video as well as sound.
So, and also, I just wanted to call the So now there's some information here. I see the date, or is this the date in this upper portion of the printed information?
Yes, it is.
And does it appear to be December the 2nd of 2019?
Yes, it does.
Now, there's a time stamp up here. It seems to indicate time of 18:02:12. Excuse me. Are you familiar? Is this, according to a military clock, 6:02:12?
Yes, it is.
Now, what were you there at 6 o'clock? I thought your testimony was you were there earlier in the day.
I was there earlier in the day.
So how do we account for the time difference?
At the time of this version of body camera, the cameras were in what's called UTC time, and UTC time is a standard time. It's basically to synchronize time essentially around the world. There's a 5-hour time difference here in Ansonia, so it would be 5 hours ahead of the actual time in question.
So what time then would this be? 1300 in Connecticut?
Yes, that would be 13:02 in military time. Standard time would be 1:02 p.m.
So is it fair to say that this recording is happening on 1:02 p.m. On December the 2nd of 2019?
Yes, that's true and accurate.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask that we recue the body camera back to the beginning. Are you able to see, before the audio comes on, excuse me, anything with regard to the door, the screen door itself, and your body camera? Are you able to identify the point in time that you activated your body camera?
Yes.
And I'll ask to start it up, please, and then stop. So what observations were you able to make from the video regarding, one, the door, and two, your body camera?
First at the door, you'll notice, you'll see the glass or the top pane of the front door there. You'll see a vibration in the door. That is the time when I'm actually knocking on the door. So the camera is capturing what it can see, but I'm actually knocking on the door with my left hand. You'll see the vibration in the top pane. With regard to the second part of the question about when the camera is activated, you'll hear an audible tone, and that's to alert the officer that the camera is actually recording audio and video. It makes an audible beep, which you heard as soon as the sound started.
And did it appear that your hand went up to your chest just immediately before that audio beep came on?
Yes, it did.
All right, so now I'm going to ask the rest of the tape be played. Stop it, please. Now, with regard to you are walking down the ramp, there are several cars on the street, car here, car here, car here. At the time, did you take particular attention as to any of these vehicles?
No, at the time I did not pay particular attention to any of the vehicles, as they appeared to be legally parked in conjunction with our winter parking ban.
When you say legally parked and the winter parking ban, can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen what you mean by that?
Yes, in the city of Ansonia, from December 1st of every year to March 31st of every year, we institute a winter parking ban. The purpose of the ban is to assist with plowing the roadways during inclement weather, and also to provide easy access for first responders, specifically the fire trucks, and the city plows to get through in the event of an emergency. This particular year is an odd year, 2019. That's when the winter starts, so all vehicles will be parked on the odd side of the street. Today's date, at least to the date that we're speaking of, would be December 2nd. The winter parking ban would have started the day before, on December 1st. So to me, none of this really stood out because all those vehicles appear to be parked legally.
So now, with regard, well, continue to play. I'm sorry. Stop it there. Can you bring up the, let it play through. I'm sorry, let it play through. And bring up the photograph on there. Now, with regard to that white house that you were parked in front of, was that 6 Myrtle Avenue?
Yes, it was.
This is a screenshot from your body-worn camera. Have you seen this prior to coming into court today?
Yes, I have.
And again, is this a fair and accurate representation of the vehicles as they were captured on your body camera on December the 2nd of 2019?
Yes, it is.
And did you know, when you went out there, were you aware of the significance of either one of these cars?
No, at that time I was not.
Had you been provided any information by dispatch to any vehicles that may have been registered to Christine Holloway?
No, I was not.
Now, when you got back into your patrol car and what did you do once you got back to your patrol car?
Once I got back into my patrol vehicle, I proceeded down Myrtle Ave to Judson. It's an intersecting street. I made a left-hand turn onto Judson and then another left-hand turn onto Cottage. And I attempted to make contact at the rear of the residence. This residence is unique in nature. The front door actually sits on Myrtle Ave, but the rear of the property is actually accessed by Cottage Ave. There's a long driveway that comes up from Cottage to the back of that residence. I proceeded to through that route, and then I pulled up the driveway at the back of the residence.
And when you got to the back of the driveway, what, if anything, did you do?
When I got to the back of the residence, I parked my cruiser in the driveway, and the first thing that stood out to me was there was a bay-style window that sits above the garage level, and the window was open. I thought it was a little odd that it was so cold out and that window was open.
No objection.
May I publish this, Your Honor? States 14, no objection to the defense.
All right, so the court will go ahead with no objection and enter and accept into evidence states 14 full. And yes, you may go ahead and publish. Thank you.
Showing you what has been marked states 14, do you generally recognize what this is?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize this to be?
This is a view of the rear of the residence from the driveway.
And you just told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury you made an observation with regard to a window and a pumpkin having enhanced towards the top part of the picture of the bay window area. Is this generally what you saw when you appeared on December the 2nd, 2019 at the rear of 6.5 Murder?
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry, did you make any observations at that time, whether beyond the open window and the pumpkin, whether you were able to see inside deeper into the residence?
No, the window coverings that you see there were closed completely, and I was not able to see inside.
After making that initial observation, Officer Kelly, what, if anything, did you do next?
Next, I tried to make contact at the backside of the residence there. The first thing I attempted to do was see if I could see into the garage area to see if there was a vehicle parked there. I was unsuccessful in doing that because there was appeared to be either a tint on the windows to the garage, or they had been painted over with a dark colored paint. I couldn't see inside. Next, I proceeded to the left side. I did notice that there were two doors on the left side of the residence there at the garage level. The first one appeared to go into the garage. That one also had a dark tint or some type of paint on it where I could not see inside. And then as I proceeded closer to the front of the residence, there was also a second door there. I was able to see inside that door. It appeared to just be storage, like a storage area. And both of those side doors were locked at that time. I did check them, and they were locked.
Showing you state 6 as a full exhibit, does this appear to be the doors that you are referencing?
Yes, it does.
So this door, were you able to see in through that door?
No, that is the door closest to the garage. And as you can see from the picture, the window coverings are very dark. I'm not sure if it's a tint or a paint, but you're not able to see inside.
And this window, were you able to see through that window?
No,
And did you try this door?
I did, and the door was locked at that time.
And what observations were you able to see inside that door?
That appeared to be like a storage area. There was like miscellaneous items, like lawn care items and stuff like that, tools.
All right, just let the record reflect that the state's attorney was pointing to the door to the left in the photo. Thank you.
So after conducting that walk around, what, if anything, did you do next?
After conducting the walk around, I returned to my patrol vehicle and cleared the scene, notifying dispatch that I was unable to make contact with anyone at the residence.
And do you know approximately what time you cleared the scene?
The approximate time of me clearing the scene was 13:04 in military time. Standard time, it's going to be 1:04 p.m.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Attorney
Thank
Gavin,
you.
Cross, thank you.
Thanks. Hi, Officer Kelly. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very good. Thanks. Thanks for being here. Just a few questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you said that you were out on patrol and you received the dispatch for the welfare check, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So did you have any interaction with the individual that requested the welfare check?
No, I did not speak to that person.
All right. They would have called into Ansonia PD, and then, if I understand you correctly, then dispatch contacted you because you were out on patrol in that sector.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Had you ever been to 6.5 Myrtle before?
I'd been past the residence. I don't believe I ever had a call for service at that residence before.
Okay. So, and we can call up the pictures, but just see if we can reach an agreement. You parked on Myrtle right in front of the residence number 6. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right, and that was your patrol car in the picture.
That was, yes.
The still photo, right? Okay. So you parked there. Did you go over and talk to anybody at 6 Myrtle when you arrived, sir?
No.
No? Okay. So you hadn't been there before. You got out of your patrol vehicle. There was a welfare check request, and you said that you went up the ramp towards the front door. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't engage your body-worn camera at that point as you proceeded up to the house?
Yes, that's correct.
That's correct. Okay. So you go up the walkway, and you can see that some areas of the walkway have snow on it, some doesn't. The street doesn't have any accumulated snow. The sidewalks don't at that point, correct?
That is correct.
Right. It seems that there were flurries that were coming down at that point. Is that fair?
Yes, that's fair.
Okay. And you and I can agree, if you recall, that it continued to snow during the course of the day and into the evening time.
Yes, I believe it continued to snow.
Okay. If you don't recall, it's okay. It's right. But at that point, there was no snow on the roads, for example.
No, the roads were clear.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So now you walk up, you go up the ramp, right? There's a wooden ramp that goes from the street area up to the front door at 6.5 Myrtle. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then I believe you testified the first thing you did was you knocked on the window to the left of the front door.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And were you able to look into the window at that point?
No, there was a window covering that was closed. I could not see into the residence.
Okay. And when you knocked, did anybody respond?
No, there was no response.
There was no response. Okay. So you weren't able, there was a covering, you weren't able to go ahead and see, so you then proceeded over to the door. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, okay. And then is that when you would have activated your body-worn camera at that point?
Yes.
Right. Because you told us that the policy was if you were going to interact with the public, you want to make sure that it was recorded.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And that's the policy through today, of course.
Yes, that's also correct.
Right. The body-worn camera protects the officers from false claims, and it also memorializes exactly what happens, correct?
Yes.
So if you're in a courtroom 5 years later after the event, we can actually see your honor. Withdrawn. Withdrawn. Okay. So now you go to the door and you knock on the door.
Yes.
And you testify that you saw the screen door vibrate at that point, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And did you open the screen door?
No, I did not.
Okay. So you never made contact with the wooden door?
No, I did not.
Okay. So you only knocked on the screen door?
Yes, sir, that's
And
correct.
did you identify yourself, officer?
No,
Okay. So you just knocked and you didn't indicate anything?
that's correct.
Okay, great. And then there's no response, correct?
That is correct.
Right. And then you walk back down the walkway towards the
Yes,
street?
yes, that's correct.
Right, towards your cruiser, okay.
Yes.
And then you went over to your cruiser, which is over in front of the O'Meara house at 6 Myrtle Avenue. I don't know if you know that or not.
I don't know that, but it was 6 Myrtle Avenue.
Yeah, you forget the residence, but you know it was 6 Myrtle where your cruiser was parked. Okay, and then you got into the cruiser, correct?
Yes,
And that's when you circled back around and you went to the back side of the building located at 6.5 Myrtle, correct?
yes, that's correct.
And that's when you saw the driveway came up, and then there were 3 garage bays, correct?
Yes.
Right, okay. And when you got out of the cruiser back there, did you see anyone around?
No, there did not appear to be anyone around.
Okay. And when you went to the back, would it be fair to say that the apartment at 6.5 Myrtle was located above the 3-bay garage?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. So now you go there, you said that the windows were either tinted or blacked out, and you tried to look in, and you weren't able to see anything in the bay garage doors. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then you went around to the side of the house, and there were 2 doors there.
Yes, on the left side.
Yeah, on the left side, and you checked those,
Yes, I did.
and they were locked.
Yes, they were.
Okay, and one of them you couldn't look in.
Yes, the front one, closest to the garage, you could not see in.
Right, couldn't see through, but the second one you could see in, and you said you saw some storage stuff at that point.
Yes.
Okay, and then did you go back to where the garage was and go around the other side of the building?
No, so on the other side of the building, it did not look like there were any doors or anything, just the foundation. I did not go to the other side.
Okay, and it was described that there was an embankment that went back up to the Myrtle Avenue street level, is that correct?
Yes, the front of the property on Myrtle Ave sits up significantly higher than the rear on Cottage Ave.
Yep, okay. And sir, how long were you totally at the scene?
Approximately 5 minutes, maybe.
Okay. And then after you did your investigation in the rear of the building, you got back in your cruiser, correct?
Yes.
And I take it you would have notified dispatch at that point that the call was clear.
Yes, you would notify dispatch that you're clear from the call. And I believe I also requested that dispatch make contact with the complainant to advise we had no contact at that time.
Okay. And just tell the jury, what does clear, the call is clear, what's that?
So our code would be, all departments have call codes. Our code for clearing you would call out your badge number, dispatch would respond to you, you'd indicate that you're 34, meaning you're clear from the call and available to take another call for service. And then if there's any other information that needed to be provided, you would do it at that time. But you would call out that you are 34 from the scene. In this circumstance, I believe I said that there's negative contact of the residents. Can you advise a complainant or something to that effect?
Okay. So, and that meant that you were available to go back on patrol, and if there was a car accident or some incident, you would be able to be dispatched to the subsequent call?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for your time. I have no other questions.
Thank you, sir.
Anything on redirect?
No,
Oh, all right, thank you. All right, so you're all set. You can
Thank you.
answer to stand. Thank you. Attorney Stein, is the state ready for its next witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. you
Juror
may
Watkins,
proceed.
please.
Thank you. Watch your step. Good morning. Please step into the witness box and remain standing. Madam Clerk is going to put you under oath, okay? Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, and state your address for the record, please.
Mira Watkins, Watkins. My address is 31 Rose Station Road, New Gloucester, Maine, 04260.
Okay, thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Hi, Mira.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
You a little nervous?
Yeah.
All right. Do you need some water?
No, I'm good.
Okay. A couple of things, first of all. Can you pull yourself in a little bit closer to that mic? The mic does not amplify very well, and I need you to really keep your voice up so everyone here can hear from you. All right? All right. So, So your name is Mira Watkins?
Yes.
And did I hear you put an address on the record that you're from Maine?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been living in Maine?
About 3 years.
And I want to call you back to 2019. Were you living in the state of Connecticut in 2019?
Yes.
And specifically, I want to call you to December of 2019. Were you living in Connecticut at that time?
Yes.
And were you employed?
Yes.
And where were you working?
Community Crusade for Children
Okay. And where was that located out of?
in Hamden.
And can you tell us a little bit about what Community Crusade for Children, also known as Kiducation, is that right?
Yes.
What business is that? What do they do?
It's a closed donation company.
Just kind of give us a little bit of closed donation company. So how does it work?
We have bins in parking lots and store parking lots where people can go and donate clothes and other goods.
Okay. And then, so someone goes and donates something in a bin, one of your bins. Then what happens to it?
We have a couple trucks and routes that go and pick up the stuff from the bins different days.
Okay. And then when you do that, once the trucks pick them up, what happens to it?
We bring them back to the warehouse to be sorted
And where's that warehouse?
in Hamden.
All right. And were you working for the company at that time?
Yes.
How long had you been working for them?
About 1 year and 3 months.
I want to call your attention specifically to December the 4th of 2019. Do you recall December 4th, 2019?
Yes.
And do you recall that would have been a Wednesday in December?
Yes.
So now, were you scheduled to work at Kiducation on that date?
Yes.
And what time did you report to work that day at Kiducation?
Between 7:30 and 8.
Was that your normal starting time?
Yes.
And when you got to work that day, did you become aware of what your assignment was on that date?
Yes.
And how would you become aware of what your assignment was?
We had a dispatch office, and I would get my run sheet with who my helper was and what our route was for that day.
No objection.
States 15, Your Honor, no objection from the defense. It's identified as a run sheet.
All right, thank you so much. With no objection, court will go ahead and accept into evidence States 15 as a full exhibit.
And I would further note it is a 2-page stapled document.
Thank you, 2 pages.
Showing you what's been marked as States 15, Mira. Do you generally recognize what this document is?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
Just a normal run sheet.
Okay? And then specifically looking at do you recognize any of the handwriting here?
Yes.
Whose handwriting is this? Do you recognize it?
Yes, the former employees.
Okay. And do you recognize that this appears to be the run sheet of Wednesday, December 4th of 2019?
Yes.
And do you further recognize that information?
Yes.
And what do you recognize that to be?
That it's my route, mine and Fredo's route.
So were you working with somebody on that day?
Yes.
And what was that person's name?
Wilfredo Fuentes.
And now looking down the side of the column here, do you recognize what this information generally appears to be?
Yes, each stop on the route.
So when you come to work, on any particular day, do your stops, are they all the same every day or do they change?
No, they change.
And do you become aware of what stops you're going to make based upon this run sheet?
Yes.
And when you came to work this day, now were these the stops that you were going to have to make during your shift?
Yes.
There's a column over here where my finger is marking at the left side of the image. What is depicted in this column?
That's what time we got there.
And then there are columns here which have fractional numbers. What do you recognize those to be?
Those are just marking how full the bins were.
Okay. Then if I slide the document over a column here, what do you recognize this column to be?
That's what time we finished at the stop.
Okay. And with regard to these columns here, where there appear to be slashes, can you explain the significance of those columns?
Yes. So each one of those columns has a title, and then I just filled in like roughly how much was trash inside the bin, loose inside the bin, and then stuff that was outside.
So this would be trash, this would be in the bin, and this would be outside the bin?
Yes.
Now, with regard to this particular date, Wednesday, December the 4th of 2019, where do you pick up the truck?
In Hamden.
And when you leave Hamden, do you know, I know you have your sheet, but do you know where you're going physically? Do you know how to get to each and every one of these stops?
Generally, yes.
Okay. Do you use any other form of assistance?
I'd use a GPS.
And so with regard to your first stop, do you know where your first stop was that day?
Yes.
And where was that first stop?
At Krauser's.
And in what town?
West Haven.
And do you know what time you arrived?
At 9:23.
So with regard to, and again, at least in this copy, is that a 9 and not a 7? It looks like part of the loop there is.
Yeah, it's a 9.
And after you cleared that, where was your next stop?
At Verizon.
And where was the Verizon?
West Haven or?
Let me back it out for you a little bit.
Oh, Derby.
Okay. And what time did you arrive there?
9:35.
And after the Verizon store, where would you have gone to next?
Big Lots in Derby.
Okay. And what time did you arrive there?
9:48.
And then what would be your next stop after that?
St. Michael's in Derby.
St. Michael's. Do you know the street address for St. Michael's?
75 Derby Ave, Derby.
Okay. And what time did you arrive?
10:19.
Does this sheet also then tell us, with regard to that stop, does it tell you how many bins, or do you recall how many bins were at that location?
There's 2 there.
And do you have a notification as to how much material were in those containers?
Yes, by circling, but we don't specify which one is on which side.
Okay. So is it fair to say, looking at your sheet, that one container was 5/8 full
Yes.
and another one was completely full?
Yes.
And does the sheet tell us, with regard to that particular stop, what time you cleared the stop?
At 11:26.
So arrived at 10:19 and took you about an hour to clear that pole at 11:26?
Yes.
And again, using the chart, can you describe the nature of the materials just generally? What What was there?
Mostly loose, but enough bagged too.
Okay. Now, you indicated that St. Michael's in Derby was at 75 Derby Avenue,
No objection.
showing you state 16, Your Honor, is a map. No objection from the defense.
All right, with no objection, court will accept into evidence as full state 16.
So, showing you Ms. Watkins, state 16?
16.
16. There's a full exhibit. Do you generally recognize what you see here?
Yes.
And I've zoomed in a little bit. Let me back it out a little bit just to some of the more detail. Do you recognize where St. Michael's Church is?
Yes.
And where I'm pointing with my pointer, does that appear to be St. Michael's Church?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Attorney Stein, could you please add a description to that for the record?
I was getting there, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you. And where I am pointing is about the middle of the picture, towards the bottom part, in the center part of the picture. Is that St. Michael's Church?
Yes.
And do you recognize this roadway that seems to run from the bottom of the photo up to the top of the photo in the same general area?
Yes.
What roadway is that?
Derby Ave.
Does Derby Ave have any other numbers or markings in this area, if you're familiar?
Like on our run?
Well, is it also known as Route 34?
Yes.
And do you recognize what this roadway is here?
Yes.
And what roadway is that?
I'm sorry, again, Attorney
sorry.
Stein, you are pointing, and we need to reflect that in the record.
Is pointing from off of Derby Ave, running to the left edge of the photograph. Do you recognize what that is there?
Main Street?
All right. And what would be does that appear to be Main Street crossing Route 8 there?
Yes.
And do you know just what's on the other side of Route 8 there?
Home Depot.
So now with regard to I've zoomed in so that the picture, Your Honor, is depicting St. Michael's Church zoomed in with the words Derby Avenue imprinted. Do you see where the containers would have been located in this photograph?
Yes.
And are you able just to generally describe with your words?
In the parking lot, looking at the photo on the bottom left.
So I am now pointing with the pointer at what appears to be a parking lot, Your Honor, which is at the top part of the picture, just adjacent to the words Derby Avenue. And where the pointer is now, is that the general location of where your containers were?
Yes.
Thank you.
And is that where you would have went to collect the containers on that day?
Yes.
No objection.
State 17, Your Honor, no objection from the defense. Education Vince.
All right, court will accept into evidence as full, no objection, state 17. Thank you.
Showing you what has been marked State 17, Ms. Watkins, do you generally recognize what this photograph is?
Yes.
And what do you recognize this to be?
The bins at St. Michael's.
And does this appear to be the containers as they existed in December of 2019?
Yes.
So now with regard to these two containers, when you arrived with Wilfredo at this location, tell us about the activities that you would have engaged in tell me about the activities that you did engage with Wilfredo on December the 4th of 2019.
We would have gotten there, and I would have unlocked the bins and opened the first one, which was on the left.
So, looking at the exhibit that's still on the screen, there are two containers. There's one on the left, one on the right. You worked in the left one first?
Yes.
And tell us what happened next.
Fredo would start, I would stand in the back of the truck, and Fredo would start emptying the bin.
So now let's describe the truck. Can you tell us a little bit about the size of the truck?
I think it's a 20-ish foot box truck.
Okay. And is it low to the ground, high to the ground? How does it sit on the ground?
It's kind of high, the back of the truck, and there's like a step to get up there.
Okay. So now where were you on December the 4th of 2019?
I would stand in the back of the truck.
Okay. So you were up high.
Yes.
And where was Wilfredo?
On the ground, starting to do the bin.
Okay. And what observations did you make with regard to the containers?
That they were decently, like, pretty full.
Okay. And did there come a point in time where Wilfredo started to unload the containers?
Yes.
And what observations did you make?
That he would start throwing the bagged clothes to me.
And when he started to throw the bag close to you, what would you do with them?
I would throw them further back into the truck.
Okay. And did there come a point in time where he threw anything out to you that you took notice of?
Yes.
And what was that?
We first saw a diaper genie.
Okay. And what did you notice about it?
That it was covered in a red substance.
And what did you think that red substance was?
Blood.
Okay. And when you saw this, what did you do?
I took a picture and sent it to my boss,
Okay. And why did you do that?
just to know how to proceed and what we should do.
Okay.
That's from Education or on the scene? On the scene that day?
Yeah.
Oh, that's her picture? Okay, no objection. Thank you.
States 18, Your Honor. No objection for the defense. A single picture of diaper genie on the ground with blood.
Thank you. Court will accept into evidence states 18 is full, no objection.
I would indicate to the court at this time that this may be considered sensitive information for some people.
All right, so if anyone is either viewing or you're here as a member of the audience, please note that there will be posted a photograph which may contain some sensitive information. So this is your opportunity to possibly look away if sensitive information depicted would somehow bother you. All right.
May I publish, Your Honor?
We'll give it a second. I know there's some sort of a delay. And Attorney Stein, you may go ahead and publish. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, showing you what has been marked as States 18 as a full exhibit, can you tell me generally what you recognize this to be?
The diaper genie.
And is this a photograph that you took?
Yes.
And showing you there, where my finger is pointing, bottom left-hand side of the picture, Your Honor, it's some type of a metallic part of the picture. What is that?
That's the back of the truck that I would step on to get into the box part.
So does it appear that you took this photograph, you were standing up in the truck?
Yes.
And with regard to this photograph, what did you say that you did with this photograph?
I sent it to my boss,
And what was her name? What was
Marianne
that person's name?
Tettlebach,
And why did you send it to her?
to know how to proceed.
And not what Ms. Tettlebach told you, but based upon what she told you, what, if anything, did you do with this item?
To continue, but just to bag all the stuff with blood on it separately.
Okay. So now your answer seems to presuppose were there other items now that you were discovering that beyond this that had blood on them?
Yes.
Objection to the following question. She's described it as a red substance. She's not a phlebotomist. Has no ability to testify what that substance is. So I have to object to the form of the question because it presupposes that it is blood.
All right, so it's sustained for that reason. She did indicate that she thought it was blood. That's why she made the phone call. But moving forward, we will strike any indication to the jury that this witness could confirm it was blood. So I will go ahead and strike the question. I'll strike the answer. And Attorney Stein, if you could re-ask the question, we'll hear the answer
Yes, Your Honor.
without the conclusion. Thank you.
So now, Mira, with regard to this blood-like substance, did other items come out of the bin that had similar blood-like substances?
Objection to the form of the question. Now Attorney Stein is testifying in regard to what his observations are. If he wants to describe it as a red substance, but there's no indication that there's any basis for blood here.
All right, Attorney Stein, I'm going to sustain the objection. I'm going to strike the question. So, ladies and gentlemen, the last two questions are stricken. The answer to the first question is stricken. Again, it's not evidence. I've instructed you about that previously. You will receive additional instructions about that in the charge. Also, if you did include it in your notes, please scratch it out so that you don't consider it. Attorney Stein, please find a way to work around that in terms of your questioning of this witness as to why she bagged separate items. Thank you.
Your Honor, just for clarification, in all reports, it is referred to as BLS.
Sir, counsel, that is a term that is used by people who work at labs and police reports, and when they use it, they'll describe that term and explain that term, I'm assuming, to our jury. Right now, we're dealing with a lay witness. Why don't you just ask the lay witness a question in lay witness terms?
So, Mira, with regard to this red stuff here on this container, what did you think it was?
Objection. Relevancy calls for speculation.
The court's instructions
All right.
were to understand why she separated it from the other items.
I think that the prosecutor can move past this and get forward with this by saying red material on the items. Let's move forward, counsel. So I'm going to go ahead and sustain the objection. Asking her what she thought it was at this point in time would be speculative. It's already in evidence. Counsel, please move on.
The red stuff on this thing, what were your instructions with regard to the red stuff?
Just to bag it separately.
Okay. And did other things come out of the bin with red stuff on it?
Yes.
And were you able to separate it out into separate bags containing items only with the red stuff on it?
Yes.
Did there come a point in time that something other than red stuff came out on any of the items?
Yes.
Okay.
No objection.
States 19, Your Honor. As a photograph, again, sensitive information, and it is a towel with a tissue-like substance.
Objection to the description. It's a towel. It's a towel. There's no evidence whatsoever that it's
All right, so with respect to the item, at this point in time, it's just an item, and the attorney's comments and descriptions are not evidence. So I will go ahead and accept into evidence State's Exhibit number 19, and I'll allow the witness to testify regarding the photo. It's full by agreement. Thank you.
We were showing you this exhibit. Did there come a point in time that you saw this?
Yes.
And not what you thought it was, but it clearly has a red substance on it, right?
Yes.
And again, not what you thought it was, but is it fair to say that there is some type of a material on this towel?
Yes.
And do you recall when you saw this material, what you thought about it?
objection, relevancy. This is prejudicial.
All right, counsel, we have a towel here. It's got red substance on it. She separated the towel. We don't need to know what a layperson thought of the red substance. It calls for speculation, and it's not relevant with respect to this particular piece of evidence. What she thought of it, what is that going towards? What's the relevancy of that?
Your Honor, we put information in terms of what people think, what people do. That is a step in the process of the chain of evidence for people who will analyze and tell us what that is. So it is it is foundation of a step and chain of events that I think that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury can clearly reach their own conclusions with regard to what we are looking at.
Okay, well, what she thought of it is speculative. It calls for speculation. It's irrelevant at this point in time. She indicated she was separating items that had red material on it. The item was separated. She indicated it had additional material on it. Item was separated. If you want to get information in front of this jury regarding what that substance is, I'm sure you'll call someone to do that. Sustained.
With regard to this item, did you take any special response with regard to this?
Yes.
What did you do with it?
I found a little Ziploc bag to put it in.
And did you put it in the Ziploc bag?
Yes.
And after it was in the Ziploc bag, what did you do with it?
Put it in the bag with the other red stuff.
Now, after you processed all of the red stuff that you found at this location, what, if anything, did you do after that?
Just continued on our day.
Did you have other stops to make?
Yes.
And did you make all of your other stops?
Yes.
And did there come a point in time where you completed all of your stops?
Yes.
And when you completed your stops, what did you do at the end of your run?
I dropped Fredo off near his house, and then I continued to the warehouse.
And when you got to the warehouse, what, if anything, did you do?
I locked the back of the truck and then handed my keys in.
And did you leave Kidjucation then for the day?
Yes.
And that was Wednesday, December the 4th.
Yes.
Do you recall reporting to work the next day?
Yes.
And was that December the 5th?
Yes.
And at that point in time, had you had an opportunity to speak with your boss, Marianne Tettlebach?
Yes.
And were you present when the truck that you had loaded the previous day was subsequently then unloaded?
Yes.
And do you know, when you loaded the materials that you bagged, step back, withdrawn, the red stuff material, when you put it into your truck, how was it packaged?
In a big clear plastic bag.
And was it one bag, more than one bag?
A few bags.
And then the red stuff with some other material in it that you put in the Ziploc bag, was that in a separate bag, or did you throw it into just with the other?
With the other stuff.
Okay. And then once you had those bags in your truck, where did you place them in your truck?
In the truck, we have separate bins for stuff that's not closed, so I put it in there.
Okay. And now back on December the 5th, do you know where those bins removed from the truck?
Yes.
And do you know where they were placed?
They were taken out of the truck and put in the middle of the warehouse.
Okay. And did you see them at that location?
Yes.
And were they the same items that you had collected and bagged the day before?
Yes.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Attorney Gavin Cross?
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Watkins. How you doing?
Good?
Thanks for being here. Came all the way down from Maine for us, huh?
Yeah.
Did I have exhibit 15? Thank you. Ms. Watkins, I'm going to May I approach around?
You may,
I'm going
thank
to give you what's Exhibit 15, which is you described as the run sheet, so you have it in front of you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. So when you were working for Education back in 2019, you were actually the driver?
Yes.
Okay, and how long had you been the driver?
Probably about a year.
About a year. And prior to that, had you worked in the warehouse? Or
I was a helper, so I was in the truck, but not the driver.
Okay, like Wilfredo?
Yes.
I got you. Okay. I just want to go through the run sheet with you, okay? So you feel free to go ahead and take a look at that, all right? So the top left-hand quadrant, I believe it says MIRA,
Yeah.
M-I-R-A, and then there's some scribble over
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that is?
The scribble or the word?
The scribble and the words.
This looks like it was supposed to be on Tuesday, the 3rd, the run, but we might have not had enough workers, so it got pushed to the next day.
Okay. So depending on the amount of workers that are available, would that dictate what run you go on?
Yes.
Had you gone on this run, it looks like 77 or something, had you gone on this run previously?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, and then it looks like the day had been crossed out. Is that your handwriting?
No.
Is anything on here your handwriting?
Where we start to get to the stops, that's my handwriting.
Can you just tell me where you time in, that's your
Yeah.
handwriting?
All of that down there is my handwriting.
All except the
Yeah.
top portion all the way,
Yes.
all that stuff that's in there when you come in, when you leave?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And how about the boxes where you indicate whether or not it's trash, bin,
Yeah.
or bags? Is that your handwriting
Yes.
too? Okay, and you would do that every day on the run?
Yes.
Okay, great. So it looks like what happened was you went to work that morning, and you were assigned this specific run. And was Marianne Tettlebach there?
Yes.
Okay, and she's the one. Was she the dispatcher that would assign you, or was she the director of the operations?
There was 3 people that could assign runs.
Okay, and who were they?
Marianne, her husband Ron, and then another employee, Chick.
Okay, great. So do you recall who assigned you to this run on December 4th?
I don't recall.
That's okay, that's fine. And then I see that there's an entry, time truck left yard.
Yes.
Okay, did you fill that in?
Yes.
Okay, so that's when you would have pulled out of the yard in Hamden?
Yep.
Okay, and you went about, and I think it's sort of self-explanatory here. I just want to make sure for the record we go through this, okay? And you can follow along here. So you went to Krauser's in West Haven.
Yes.
That was the first stop, then Verizon, then the Big Lots,
Yep.
and then you see St. Michael's in Derby,
Yeah.
Fuel First in Ansonia, Duchess in Ansonia,
Yes.
BJ/McDonald's in Derby, right? Mobile Derby,
Yes.
yes?
Yep.
ShopRite in Ansonia, okay? The commuter lot in Shelton,
Yes.
and that was at the corner of Howe and Cornell. And then you went to Walmart
Yes.
in Shelton, yeah? Okay. Stop and Shop in Shelton,
Yes.
ShopRite in Shelton,
Yes.
and then Scooby-Doo Warehouse.
Yes.
What's Scooby-Doo Warehouse?
It was just a warehouse in Trumbull. I don't really know why it was called that.
Okay, that sounds good. And then you went back to Stratford over to the CVS, correct?
Yes.
And can you tell us, when you left in the morning, what time was it that you came back to the yard?
249.
Okay, so let me see if I can understand, if you refer this. So you went to Krauser's, you got there at 9:23, and you were out at 9:24.
Yes.
Okay, and then there is an indication there's a 0 circled there.
Yes.
That means that there were no bins or anything to pick up.
There was nothing in the bin.
Nothing in the bin.
Yeah.
So there was nothing for you to, and Wilfredo to load into the truck.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And then you went over to Verizon on Derby Avenue, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then there's a circle on 3/8. That means 3/8 of the bin was full?
Yes.
That's a weird fraction, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you got there, at 9:35 and 9:46, you left.
Yes.
So can you just tell us, when you pull up in front of a bin, the bins are locked?
Yes.
Okay. And do people just open up the lid and put stuff in bags and?
There's a couple different types of bins. Some of them have the pull thing where you put the bag and then you push it. And then other ones just have the chute on the front.
Have a chute?
Yeah, like you just push the bag in.
You push it and it slides
Yeah.
into the bin? Okay, great. How about the one at St. Michael's over there? What kind of bins were they?
Those are just the chute ones.
Okay. So I take it it's a donation bin, correct?
Yes.
And the theory is that people that have excess clothes or
Objection to the theory, Your Honor.
I'll withdraw.
Sustained.
People donate and put stuff in the bins
Yes.
for you to collect. Is that fair?
Yes.
What happens to the stuff after it's collected?
We take it to the warehouse to be sorted.
Okay. And then what happens to it?
I can't speak to what that is.
That's fine. That's okay. It goes back to Hamden.
Yes.
It gets sorted through. Okay, great. So let's talk about St. Michael's, if you wouldn't mind, okay? So it looks to me like you arrived there at about 10:19,
Yes.
and then it looks like timeout. It looks to me like 11:26.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay, so you were there about an hour with Wilfredo?
Yeah.
Okay, and you had to unlock both the bins, okay? And you found material in both of them, correct?
I don't recall.
You don't recall if there was anything in,
I don't know if it was in both or just one.
okay, which one do you recall stuff being in, the left bin?
The left one.
Yeah, okay, you testified to that.
Yeah.
And your testimony is you don't recall if there was stuff in the right side bin?
Yes.
Okay. But if there was stuff in the right side bin, you would have collected it and put it in the truck.
Yes.
So it seems like what happens is you drive over, you're the driver, you back the truck up, you get back up on the bed of the truck,
Yeah.
and then Wilfredo is down there, you unlock the bins, and then he hands stuff up to you?
Yes.
And it's sorted within the truck?
Well, kind of, yeah.
Okay, tell me what I'm missing.
Well, he would give me the bag to close, and then I would kind of feel if there was like books in it or something. I would take the books out and then just throw the bag further in the truck.
Okay, so you're actually touching what's in the bags?
If I can feel that there's hard stuff in there, yeah.
Okay. Are some of the donations not in bags?
Yes.
Okay, so it could be loose items?
Yes.
Okay, and Wilfredo would take that loose item out and pass it up to you?
He would bag that in the bin
Okay.
with our bags.
Just tell me, let's go slow here. So if there were loose items in the bin, you had bags with you on the truck?
Yes.
Okay, and he would take the loose items and put them in a bag and then pass it up?
Yes.
And then what would you do with them?
Just throw them back into the truck.
Okay, so at the end of the day, there's a truckload full of various bags?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, so can you tell me, based on these lines that are over here at St. Michael's, can you interpret that for me?
Just looks like there was not a crazy amount of trash in the bins, but there was enough. And then there was quite a bit of loose clothes and then a little bit of stuff outside, which is not unusual for St. Michael's.
Okay, when you say it's not usual for St. Michael's, what-
Not unusual.
Not unusual. People would come up and leave stuff outside?
Yes.
Okay, so just so we're clear, you had indicated on the run sheet that there was trash contained in the bins?
Yes.
And that there were loose clothes inside the bins?
Yes.
And there were loose or bags outside the bins?
Yes.
And all of this stuff eventually winds up in the bed of the truck?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then after you left St. Michael's, then you went, and we're not going to go through each and every one, but you did what you did in your normal route. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Mhm.
And as you were progressing through, you were going to different stops, and that truck was getting loaded up, and the stuff that you had obtained from St. Michael's was contained in the truck while the new stuff was being loaded into it.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And then I noticed that there were some individuals. One was by the name of George Casanova. Do you know who George Casanova is?
Yes.
Who's George Casanova?
Another employee.
Okay, and was he on the truck with you, or was he back in the warehouse?
He was another driver.
He's another driver. Okay. Did Mr. Casanova assist you at all on Wednesday, December 4th, 2019?
No.
Okay, separate and distinct.
Yes.
Gotcha. And how about Chuck Haddad? Do you know that name?
Yes.
Okay, who was Mr. Haddad?
He was one of the dispatchers.
He was one of the dispatchers. Did he dispatch you that day?
I don't remember.
That's fine. And how about Sam Perkins?
He was our tractor trailer driver.
Okay, and tell me what our tractor trailer driver.
Once we have enough donations to fill a tractor trailer, he would drive that to wherever they bring it.
And that has nothing to do
Yeah.
with you, right? You're not driving the tractor trailer, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you being here. Ron, I have no other questions.
Thank you, Attorney Gavin. Attorney Stein, any redirect?
May I just have 1 second, Your Honor?
Certainly.
Ms. Watkins, when you first saw the items with the red stuff on it, did you and/or Wilfredo take steps with regard to your own personal safety?
Yes.
What did you do?
We put gloves on.
You had gloves available in the truck?
Yes.
All right. So as you began to handle the red stuffed items, were you wearing gloves?
Yes.
As you were collecting the red stuffed items, were they, when they came out of the bin, were they pre-bagged?
No.
So were the red stuffed items all loose items?
Yes, I didn't go into any bags to take anything out.
Okay. As Wilfredo was presenting the red stuffed items to you, what were you doing with them?
Putting them in one of our bags separately.
Okay. And can you just describe sort of the general dimensions of the bags that we're talking about?
Wider than a trash bag, but not huge.
Okay. And when you were putting the red stuffed items into your bags, did you take any other items that didn't have red stuff on them and put them in your bag?
No.
And once a bag containing red stuffed item was full or to your satisfaction, what did you do with that bag?
Tied it.
And then did what with it?
Put it in one of the bins or left it on the floor of the truck.
Okay. Did any of the other stops that you made along the way, any items that you collected, did any of those items come into contact with any of the contents, the red stuffed items inside the bags that you tied?
Objection, Your Honor. Close to speculation. She's the driver. She's not in the back of the truck. She wouldn't know that.
Well, let's lay the foundation then. Sustained as to the form at this point.
So with regard to the bags, were they securely tied?
Yes.
Did you securely tie them?
Yes.
The way that they were tied, and these are plastic bags?
Yes.
As you were unloading any of the items from the truck, did there appear to be any loss of integrity of any of the bags that you had
No.
tied the red stuffed items in?
No.
Did you see any red stuff on any bags from any other stop that looks like maybe escaped from the bag?
No.
Did they appear to be structurally intact?
Yes.
Did it appear to you that any of the other items came into contact with each other?
No.
Now, with regard to any of those people that Attorney Gavin just listed, do you have any direct recollection one way or the other as to what any of those people may have done on December the 5th?
No.
In terms of the last time that you saw the bags, did they appear to be still in the bins that you placed them in?
Yes.
And did you see anybody physically touching the bags themselves?
To unload them.
Okay. Unload them when?
When the truck got pulled in the morning.
were they taken out and put in different bins, or were the bins rolled out of the truck?
Yeah, the bins were rolled out.
So it's not like the bags were picked up by anybody.
No.
So the bins themselves, they have wheels on them?
Yes.
They were pushed out and into the warehouse?
Yes.
Okay. So did you see anybody violate any of the physical integrities of the bag?
No.
I have nothing further.
Okay. Anything further?
Just a follow-up question.
Okay.
I want to take you to Thursday, the following day, okay? Because you told us you went back to the warehouse and you locked up the truck and you dropped Wilfredo off. So the next day, you told us that the truck was unloaded before it would go out on its run the following day. Is that
Yes.
fair? Okay. And you told us that when you had gone to the donation bins at St. Michael's, that some of the bags wound up on the floor, correct? Okay. Who unloaded the truck?
Marianne?
Marianne, not you.
Yeah.
Okay, I have no other questions. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further?
Were you present when Marianne unloaded the truck?
Yes.
Did you see her roll the bins where you had placed the bags?
Did I see her? Can you repeat that?
Sure. The bins where you had placed the bags in the truck, did you see them wheeled off the truck?
Yes.
And in terms of, at least with regard to these items, is that how these items were removed from the truck?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
And some of those bags that you placed on the floor were then put into the bins?
Yes, I would have, at the end of the day, before locking, like at our last stop, I would have put them in the bins
Okay.
in our truck.
But your responsibility as a driver, you weren't unloading the truck with the bins?
No.
You had nothing to do with that?
Yes, correct.
That was Mary Ann's
Yes.
responsibility? Thanks so much.
When you, whatever had been on the floor and put them in the bins, were the structural integrity of the bags still in the
Yes.
same way as when you wrapped them up?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
No other questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so you're all set. Thank you so much. You may exit the witness box, and we are going to take our morning recess. So we will stand in recess for 15 minutes. Court is in recess for 15. Thank you. All right, fantastic. We'll bring the jury in. Thank you. Welcome back, members of our jury. Counsel, if you'd please stipulate to the return of all of our jurors here today.
Stipulate to the
Thank you.
presence of jury.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great. So if the state would please call its next witness.
Thank you. State would call Mary Ann Tettlebach to the stand.
Thank you. Thank you. Please watch your step. Good afternoon. I'm going to ask you to please remain standing. Sorry, thank you so much. Madam Clerk is going to put you to oath.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, and state your address for the record, please.
Mary Ann.
May I proceed?
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Tettlebach. How are you? Good. Okay. A couple of things. First of all, I need you to pull in as close to that mic as you can because it does not amplify very well. It's a recording device for the most part, and you're very soft-spoken, so I need you to sort of project out for us.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Thank you. All right. So first of all, your name is Mary Ann Tettlebach, right?
Yes.
Do you have a business or are you related with a company?
Yes.
And what is the name of your company?
Community Crusade for Children, also Kiducation.
So the legal name is Community Crusades for Children,
Yes.
but it's also
We have a trademark.
a trademark, Kiducation. And what is the business of the company?
We're a charity. We collect clothes and shoes and things people donate, and we sort it for charity.
Okay. And where do people donate these things?
All over the state.
Okay. And by what mechanism? How
In
it-
clothing bins.
Okay. What's the number on that? Showing you state 17 is a full exhibit. Does this appear to be Kiducation type bins?
Yes.
And are these the types of bins that you put out at various locations around the state?
Yes.
And how do you get the whatever is donated into these bins? How does it come back to your company?
We put it in a truck and we bring it back to the facility.
Okay. And do employees, does the company have employees?
Yes.
And are they tasked with going and making collections at these bins?
Yes.
I want to ask you about a person by the name of Mira Watkins. Do you recognize that name?
Yes.
And was she an employee of the company back in December of 2019?
Yes.
And I want to call your attention to specifically Wednesday, December the 4th of 2019. Do you recall that date?
Yes.
And do you recall, first of all, whether Mira Watkins was working that day?
Yes.
And was she working that day?
Yes.
And at some point in time, when your employees are out and about, what are you doing? Do you base out of some place or do you have other responsibilities?
I could be working at the warehouse or I could be out.
Okay. On December 4th of 2019, do you recall being contacted by Mira Watkins?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, was she out doing her collections job that day?
Yes.
And did she make you aware of something with regard to one of the stops?
Yes.
And not what she told you, but as a result of what she told you, did she send you anything?
Yes.
And what did she send you?
A picture
Okay.
with like a white diaper pail and some matter on it or substance.
Can you describe the color or the matter that you saw on it?
It was red.
Okay. Showing you what has been marked States 18 as a full exhibit. Does that appear to be the photograph that you received?
Yes.
And do you recall what it is that you instructed Mira to do regarding this item and any other items that may have had a similar substance on it?
I told her to bag it up and to bring it back to the warehouse.
Okay. How long had you been with Kiducation or Community Crusade for Children up to that point in time?
Since 2001?
Okay, so about 18 years.
Yes.
Had there been times in the past where items had a red substance on it in the past?
Yes.
And are you aware, were there times in the past that animals, for instance, may have been dumped in these bins?
Yes.
Okay. So with regard to at least this particular item and other items, did you instruct Mira Watkins to bag them, as you said, and bring them back in?
Yes.
Now, did there come a point in time, did you become aware that the truck that Mira Watkins had been utilizing that day, in fact, returned to the Hamden location?
Yes.
And was it unloaded at that time when it first returned?
No.
Do you recall when it was unloaded?
The next morning.
Okay. So we're now talking about December the 5th. That would be a Thursday?
Yes.
All right. And when the truck was unloaded, did you participate in the process at all?
Yes.
And what specifically did you do?
I pushed the rolling hoppers out of the truck.
Okay. And why did you push the rolling hoppers out of the truck?
I wanted to make sure there wasn't a problem,
Okay.
so I did it.
So, and had you been made aware that the items that were the subject of the pictures or picture that you were sent were contained within the rolling hoppers?
Yes.
No objection.
Showing you, Your Honor, I have 3 pictures, States 20, States 21, and States 22. States 20 can be described as bins with crime scene tape. States 21 can be described as plastic bag with envelope on top. And States 22, can be described as close-up of envelope.
All right, so the court will accept into evidence as full, no objection?
Yes, no objection.
All right, thank you. States 20, 21, 22, 3 photos. You may proceed.
Publishing, Ms. Tettlebach, States 20 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me, do you generally recognize what this is?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
The bins that I pushed out.
Okay. So does it, first of all, do you recognize the structure that's depicted in the photographs? The building?
Yeah, sorry. I can't see so good, that's why.
Do you need,
Yeah.
Well, there's a monitor right in front of you.
It's off.
Oh.
It's okay.
Well, are you able to see?
Yeah, I just thought you wanted real specific, but yes, I see a building.
Okay. And do you recognize what building this is?
Yes, our building that we work in, yeah.
And what is the location of this building? Where is this building located?
2135 State Street in Hamden, Connecticut.
Okay, so is this the Kiducation
Warehouse, yes.
warehouse? And these bins, did you roll some or all of these bins off the truck?
All,
Okay, and did you leave them where they're depicted in the photograph?
yes.
And at some point in time, did you now take a closer look at some of the contents of the bins?
Yes.
Showing you states 21 is a full exhibit, and if you have any problems seeing, please, I will get that monitor turned on for you.
I can see.
You can see it? All right. Do you generally recognize what this is?
Yes.
And what do you recognize it to be?
The stuff that I took off the truck and the letter that was on top of the stuff.
Okay. So center in this photograph, there appears to be some type of a letter. Is this what you are, piece of mail that you're referring to?
Yes.
And were you able to take a closer look at that item?
Yes.
Showing you what has been marked states 22 as a full exhibit. Zooming out, does this, what do you recognize this to be?
That's the letter.
Okay. And as you looked at it, did it appear, as it looks right now?
Yes.
And is a name visible through the letter?
Yes.
And specifically, is there a fair and accurate representation that the letter is addressed to Christine M. Holloway of 6.5 Myrtle Avenue in Ansonia, Connecticut, at zip code 06401-3122?
Yes.
And with regard to this letter, when you saw it, did you also happen to notice other items that were in this bin?
Yes.
And were you able to make any observations with regard to, let's say, the bottom right-hand corner of this
Yes.
photograph?
Yes.
Were you able to make other observations?
There was more substance.
What color substance?
Red.
Okay. And when you saw, and were there, beyond what I'm showing you in this photograph, were you able to see through the plastic bags to other items that contained a red-type substance?
Yes.
Based upon all of this information that you were now receiving on Thursday, December the 5th of 2019, what steps, if any, did you take at that point?
I Googled the name.
Okay. And why did you
It seemed odd.
Okay. So you Googled what name?
Christine Holloway.
Okay. And when you Googled the name Christine Holloway on now Thursday, December the 5th, what did you find?
I found there was an investigation going on.
Okay. And how was this through a news source or something along those lines?
Yeah.
Okay. And did the whatever you read, did it identify an agency that was involved in the investigation?
Yeah, Ansonia.
Okay. And what did you do based on that information?
I called the police in Ansonia.
So you called the Ansonia Police Department?
Yep.
And what did you tell them?
I told them that I had a letter on top of some stuff that we had collected at a clothing bin, and it had matter on it, and I was very concerned.
And were you given instructions by the Ansonia Police Department?
Yes.
All right. And based on those instructions, what, if anything, did you do?
I didn't touch anything, and I didn't let anyone else touch anything.
And did there come a point in time after that phone call that anyone arrived at Kiducation?
The Hamden police.
Do you recall approximately how long after your phone call Hamden police arrived?
I want to say within 5 minutes. It was quick.
Back on states 20. There is what appears to be crime scene tape in this photograph. Do you know who placed that there?
The Hamden police.
And did there come a point in time after Hampton Police arrived that additional police officers arrived?
Yes.
And were you aware of what agency they were affiliated?
Ansonia.
And at some point in time, did you and the people within your company provide statements to the Ansonia Police Department?
Yes, we did.
I have nothing further.
Attorney Gavin Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Hi. Ms. Tettlebach, thanks
Hi.
for being here. So you've been with Kiducation for years,
Years.
yeah? And are you the owner of the company?
It's a nonprofit. No one owns it.
No one owns it. Okay. Who's the manager?
My husband, Ron Tettlebach.
Okay. And he works with you, obviously.
Right.
Okay. So you collect items from donation bins, and then you sort through them and package them up, and depending on what it is, what happens with them?
We sell some of them to pay the workers, and then we give away some. So it would be put into like a Gaylord box, which is like 4 by 4 by 4, and then we sell that by a truckload.
You sell a truckload of donated material.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, and then you use that for the operating expenses of
Yes.
education? Okay,
Some is given away.
okay, gotcha. And these donation boxes are all over the state?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, and your warehouse is in Hamden?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So I want to just talk to you about the specific items that you just saw in the bins that you testified you had taken off of Mira Watkins' truck.
Okay.
Okay. Were you there the day before on the 4th when Mira Watkins returned to Kiducation's warehouse?
Nope.
You weren't there?
Nope.
Okay, gotcha. So is the practice that the trucks go out in the morning and they have a run sheet, is that correct?
Yes.
And it identifies for the driver and the helper every place that they're supposed to stop and collect material?
Yes.
Okay. And who directs the drivers to go out? Is there a
Me.
dispatcher? You
I do
it.
dispatch, yeah.
Okay. Sounds like you do a lot of different jobs. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the day before, Mira Watkins went ahead with a helper by the name of Wilfredo Fuentes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and they went out on typical go on their run. And this was all in the Derby and Ansonia and Shelton areas. Is that
Yes.
correct? All right, gotcha. And when Mira Watkins returned with the truck, you're telling us you were not present.
Yes.
Okay. And is it the practice that the truck would be unloaded on the day that it returns?
Nope.
No, it's not till the following day at about 7 in the morning,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And do you happen to know whether or not Mira Watkins' truck, after she returned, had again left the yard to go to the gas station?
The trucks are locked every night. So when they come back, they lock them. And then, yes, it is gone to the gas station in the morning.
Okay. So the truck actually, before it is unloaded, it leaves the facility and it goes out and gets gassed up for the next day's route.
Yes.
And that happened in this case with
Yes.
correct? Okay. And tell us, who is, if you know, tell me, who is Charles Haddad?
He was the warehouse manager.
Okay. Do you know if Mr. Haddad was the one that drove the truck over to the Citgo gas station?
There's only 2 people. It would either be Ron or Charles.
Ron is your husband?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Tettlebach?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So it would have left the secured facility, would have went over to the gas station, got gassed up, and then returned to be unloaded?
Yes.
Is that how it works?
Yep.
Okay. And tell me, how about Molly McGuigan? Who's Molly McGuigan?
She was an employee who worked in the warehouse.
Okay. So she wasn't a driver like
No.
Watkins.
Nope.
And she was an employee that worked in the warehouse that would have unloaded the trucks?
Yes, helped. There's quite a few that do it.
There's quite a few
Yeah.
people that go ahead and do that?
Me.
You as well?
Yep.
You dispatching and you're unloading
Yep.
trucks? Okay. Chief cook and bottle washer. You're doing everything. All right. And how about Juan Rios? Do you know an individual named Juan Rios?
He was a driver.
He was the driver for what?
One of the trucks, like Mira does.
Okay. he was a driver like Nero Watkins?
Yep.
Okay, all right. And was he there also on the 5th?
I don't recall.
It's okay. How about Andrew Gibson? Remember Andrew
He
Gibson?
helps empty trucks,
Okay.
and he is a helper that goes out on trucks.
Okay, so let me go slow so if I understand. So in the morning, when the loaded trucks had come back from the day before, they're brought into the warehouse, they're unloaded to start the process to sort through the items. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, and Andrew Gibson is somebody that does that task, unloads the trucks,
Yes.
and then also can go out on the trucks as a helper, much like Wilfredo Fuentes was.
Yes.
Okay? Am I confusing you at all?
I'm just thinking because there's two process, so I'm not sure if Andy was actually packing the trailer instead of unloading the truck. I was just trying to think.
Totally fine. Tell us what you mean by packing the trailer.
We throw bags into the trailer for a load, like our tractor trailer drives the stuff to the buyer.
Okay, just go slow for me here. The trucks come in from the donation bins, they're unloaded, and then items can be placed into a tractor trailer.
It's weighed, yeah, and placed in the tractor trailer.
It's weighed and placed on the tractor trailer.
Yep.
Is it mostly clothing?
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so now you have a tractor trailer filled with donated material, and then where does the tractor trailer go?
It goes to New York.
Goes to New York, and it's sold by weight in New York?
Yep.
So that's why you weigh everything before
Yes.
it goes in? Okay, that sounds great. So, I want to take your attention to the 5th, if you wouldn't mind, okay? So you went to work that day?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And you recall that you had Googled the name of Christine Holloway, right? That's what
Yes.
you told us. And you contacted the Ansonia Police Department.
Yes.
And then what wound up happening was Ansonia said, we'll come out. Is that correct?
I think so. I don't remember.
Okay, that's fair. But we can agree that two detectives, Detective Esposito and Detective Tresser, came
Yes.
interviewed you, right?
Yep.
And you were cooperative with them?
Yeah.
Sure, of course. And, but before they got there, the Hamden police, you told us, arrived.
Yes.
Okay, and did you call the Hamden police?
I don't think so.
No, but regardless of who called them, Hamden came,
Yes.
right? And they had the crime scene tape that's was shown in the
Yes.
photos, right? And you told us that you had rolled the 4 bins out into the center of the warehouse.
Yes.
And that was secured by the crime scene tape.
Yes.
And did you talk to the officers from the Hamden Police Department?
No. Not. I don't remember. If it was like, hi, this is the stuff. You know, it was no conversation.
Okay. Because Hamden wasn't doing the investigation, it was Ansonia that.
I don't know that process at all. I just try to mind my business.
Okay, all right. But Hamden didn't interview you. It was later when the detectives came.
I think so.
Yeah. It seems like the detectives probably came at around 9 o'clock and 10:30. Is that consistent with your recollection? It was in the morning?
About.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I have no other questions. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Attorney Stein,
Yes, Your Honor.
redirect.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Tettlebach, all those names that Attorney Gavin asked you of every step of your process, looking past all that for a moment and only focusing on December the 5th of 2019. That is Thursday morning, right? Well, actually, let me back up. When the truck comes in at the end of the run, is it secured?
Yes.
Is the driver's compartment secured?
No, not
Okay.
the driver, but the back of the truck.
Okay. How is it secured?
It's locked, and it's not unlocked until we open the door and take the stuff out.
Okay. So when the truck came back on Thursday morning, when the truck was going to be unloaded, were you there when the lock was removed?
Yes.
Okay. And who removed the lock?
It was either me or Charles Haddad,
Okay.
or together, you know.
Okay. And is this, just describe it, is it a door, is it like a roll-up door? Or does
Yeah.
it swing open?
It rolls up.
Okay. And when the door has been rolled up, what are you seeing at that point?
We see the bins that would have like trash, and then bags of clothes would be in there.
Okay. Now, in this particular case, the stuff with that Mira had separated out and bagged and put in bins, are those what you're referring to as the trash bins?
Yes.
Okay. So that's where, was there, were the trash bins being utilized effectively to store these bags?
Yes.
Okay. And now, you're there, what's removed from the truck first?
Those bins,
Okay. And who removed those bins?
me.
Okay. And you placed them where we otherwise had them in the photograph?
Yes.
All right. Did anybody else at that point touch those bins
No.
other than you?
Nope.
All right. So all the other names, everyone who works for Kiducation, all the other drivers, everything, all those other names, no one else touched those bins, only you.
Yep.
I have nothing further.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're all set. Thank you. Please watch your step as you exit. Does the state have any additional evidence at this time, or I think you have some?
My next witness is not.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. All right, so we are prepared to resume the second day of trial in the matter of State of Connecticut versus Jose Morales. I did have an opportunity to speak with counsel in chambers regarding an issue that's been brought to the court's attention. That issue does involve a juror who provided a note to this particular court, the appropriate means, through the clerk. The note was signed and dated and has been marked as Court Exhibit Number 2 and will be put in the court's file. Having said that, the court intends to bring the juror in to question the juror regarding the note. The court instructs the media to abide by the court's instruction not to record the juror, so the juror should not appear on any recording. I also would just like to remind the media that they should not be zooming in or capturing any documents or screens on either counsel's table. So it has been brought to my attention that perhaps there has been some capture of perhaps maybe a distant view of a table, and it did not appear to be a problem at this time, but I just want to remind all media members of their responsibility in abiding by the court's orders. So at this time, just for purposes of giving the media a heads up, I am going to have that juror come in. Okay. So I believe that juror's, Madam Clerk, did the juror's last name? The jury. When the jury was selected in this case, we chose 12 regular jurors and 4 alternate jurors. The reason why the alternate jurors were chosen was to take the place of a regular juror should one of the regular jurors be unable to continue his or her jury service with us. So under our law, if a regular juror is unable to continue, then an alternate juror is chosen by way of lottery to take the place of that regular juror. In this case, unfortunately, one of our regular jurors can no longer serve on the case and thus has been discharged or dismissed. I am first going to instruct you, please do not speculate as to why that juror has been dismissed or has been discharged or can no longer serve with us. That is of no concern to your role as jurors in this case. So accordingly, in that lottery, one of our alternates has been selected to take the place of that regular juror. Madam Clerk is going to ask that person to stand.
Nothing from the defense.
Not from the state, Your Honor.
All right, very good. So is the state prepared to call its last witness for the day?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you
We
may
call
proceed.
Connecticut State Trooper Kevin Dugan.
Thank you. And counsel, you'll give me
Yes.
notification. Thank you. Good afternoon. Please remain standing in the witness box. Madam Clerk is going to put you to oath. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, and state your badge number for the record.
Kevin Dugan, Duggan. My badge number is 224.
Okay, thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you. Of course.
Good afternoon, Trooper Dugan.
Good afternoon.
Can you first of all tell us again, who are you affiliated with?
I'm with the Connecticut State Police, and I'm assigned to Central District Major Crime.
Can you first of all tell us a little bit about your background, training, and experience?
So my background is, at the time of this case, I was a detective assigned to the crime band stationed out of Hartford. And basically in the central part of the state, crime band responds and processes homicide scenes, police officer involved shooting scenes, and any type of major crime type of case that needs a scene processing.
So let's go back to your background, your training, and your experience as a police officer. Take us back from the beginning.
So I started the State Police Academy in 2007, graduated in May of 2008. I worked patrol for a while. Eventually, I was assigned as a detective within Central District Major Crime. Within that time, I have attended several crime scene processing classes, blood pattern analysis classes, and other classes associated with crime scene processing.
When did you become assigned to major crime?
December of 2015.
So you had been with, then about the time of this case, you had been with the, major crime for about 4 years?
Correct.
So, and can you tell me again, what exactly is the purpose of major crime?
Well, the purpose of major crime is basically to investigate more major crimes that occur within the state. So these investigations are more lengthy, more time consumed, more involved than a typical patrol function type of case.
So where the Connecticut State Police, are there parts of the state where the Connecticut State Police have primary jurisdiction?
There are.
But is it fair to say that the Connecticut State Police have jurisdiction anywhere within the state?
We do.
Are there times where other police departments who may not have the resources or the experience of the Connecticut State Police call on the Connecticut State Police for assistance?
They do.
And at that point in time, will the Connecticut State Police send troopers such as yourself to assist local agencies?
They will.
So in a sense, does primary responsibility rest within the local agency, and effectively the Connecticut State Police are the assist agency?
They are.
I want to call your attention to December 2nd into the early morning hours of December 3rd of 2019. And first of all, were you a member of the Connecticut State Police on that date?
I was.
And were you assigned to the Central District Major Crime Unit?
I was.
And at some point in time, did you receive information with regard to rendering an assist to the Ansonia Police Department?
I did.
And were you made aware of the location of where your assistance was requested?
I did.
And what was that location?
6.5 Myrtle Ave in Ansonia, Connecticut.
And had you received some at least basic information as to what the nature of what Ansonia was dealing with?
I had.
And what was that?
Basically that they had a potential homicide scene and they needed us to process the scene of the crime.
And when you received that information, were you on or off duty?
I was off duty.
And what step, when you received that request, did you take?
Basically, my sergeant called me and basically said there's a potential homicide scene in Ansonia. He provided the address. I said okay, and got dressed and went to the Troop I Bethany Barracks, where we were placed on standby because the local police department was working on a search warrant for us to process the residents.
Okay. And so you went to Troop I in Bethany, and you said, did you go there by yourself? Is this an undertaking you would take by yourself?
So I went there by myself, but the crime van consists of 5 detectives that work on this crime van. So we were all dispatched to the Bethany Barracks to wait for the search warrant to be completed. Once the search warrant was completed, we left the Bethany Barracks and arrived at 6.5 Myrtle Ave.
So was that all 5 of you together?
Yes.
So it's 4 other individuals plus yourself.
6 total. There's 5 detectives plus a sergeant.
Very good. And when you go to the scene, you indicated is there a van or a truck or something that you take?
Yes, there's a crime scene van, which is a large truck, and for lack of better terms, it's an office on wheels. All our crime scene processing equipment and a mobile office is on this truck, and that responds to any scene throughout the state.
And did you and the other individuals respond at some point in time to 6.5 Myrtle Avenue in Ansonia, Connecticut?
We did.
And first of all, do you recall the other members of your team that day?
I do.
And what were their names?
You had Sergeant Ralph Soda, myself, Detective Brian Conley, Detective Lindsay Valcourt, Detective Pete Farr, and Detective Scott Wisner. And
When you get there, just give us sort of an overview of how you determine, what each detective is doing.
So the sergeant is responsible for handing out assignments, and I was told I was going to be the primary for the state police as far as the scene processing.
And what does that mean, the primary for the state police?
So basically, I would be in charge of collecting and documenting any type of evidence that was taken from the apartment.
And when you say documenting, tell us a little bit about the different types of documentation that that you state police engage in?
So there's a couple different types. We have one detective would be assigned to video recording the residence. We have two that are assigned to a primary and a backup set of photographs that document the residence. And then we have one detective who is in charge of running a Faro scanner, which is a 3D scanner which makes a map or a crime scene map of the apartment.
And were the detectives all assigned their various tasks?
They were.
And so far as your task was concerned, again, could you tell us what your specific task was?
So I would be writing a report based on the scene, describing the scene and documenting our actions and documenting any evidence that was taken from the scene.
And now, as you begin to do your processing, are the detectives, your detectives, effectively all working together as you are processing a scene?
They are.
So can you just tell us in general, start us off with, if you will, about just a general what's involved in sort of processing a scene?
So basically, we would get a summary of the events and a summary of the investigations as to those steps that have been conducted prior to our arrival. And then we would go ahead and document the scene as we found it. And then we would search for evidence. We would collect evidence. If there's a victim on scene, we would document and seize any evidence from the victim. And at the end of the investigation, we would turn all our evidence over to the investigating police department.
All right. So now, with regard to, you gave us a little bit of information early on about your background and your training. Have you done this type of crime scene processing before?
Dozens of times.
Okay. And in terms of, do you process a scene much the same way every time?
Yes.
And why do you do it that way?
Training and experience and consistency.
Okay. So now, when you arrived at 6.5 Myrtle, I believe your testimony was that you were waiting for word from the local police department that a search warrant to enter the premises had been obtained?
Yes.
And did you receive information at some point that, in fact, there was a warrant to search this house?
We did.
And do you recall approximately what time you arrived on scene?
I believe we arrived on scene around 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And do you recall when you actually began to effectively gain entry into the into 6.5 Myrtle?
Scene processing started at approximately 3:45 in the morning.
Okay. So even though you were on scene, you did not begin to undertake any action until shortly before 4 a.m.
Correct.
And when you talk about the first step of your process, you were discussing or describing at least documenting the scene before you begin to do any processing. Can you just tell us about that step again?
So basically, the sergeant and myself, being the primary investigator, would do a general walkthrough of the scene and surrounding area to get an overall list of objectives that we needed to complete to process the scene. After that's completed, the video recorder trooper or detective starts to video record the scene to document the scene as we found it. And the same thing with the photographers. A primary set of photographs and a backup set of photographs are taken, documenting everything that we have seen as we arrived.
So does your primary sort of preliminary evaluation, does it start in the interior or the exterior?
Exterior of the apartment.
Showing you, and so am I understanding you correctly that at least you and Sergeant Soto did a walk around effectively 6.5 Myrtle Ave.
Yes.
And at some point in time in that process, or thereafter, I'm sorry, you know what? So you and the sergeant did a preliminary walk around, right?
We did.
And at some point after the preliminary walk around, did you and the sergeant make some type of an interior walk around?
We did.
And can you describe that?
Basically, we checked the exterior of the residence, and then we proceeded to enter the apartment to assess what would further need to be done.
And was that at that time only you and the sergeant?
Correct.
And are you wearing body camera during this process?
No.
Why do you not wear body camera during this process?
At that time, we weren't issued body cameras.
So with regard then to any pictures or any video recordings that were made, are they being made at the time that you and the sergeant are either walking around the exterior or walking around the interior?
They were done immediately afterwards.
Okay. So then continuing, so you did your interior walk around with the sergeant and noted whatever you felt you needed to note mentally with regard to your scene?
Correct.
Okay. And then after having completed that process, what would be the next step in the process?
The next step, the video recording detective would go through and video record the entire scene.
And again, would that take a similar type of path, starting first with an exterior and then working through the interior?
Correct.
And what is the purpose of doing that?
To document the scene as we found it.
Before anyone or anything has started to touch or take any further action?
Correct.
And then after the video recording is done, what, if anything, would be the next step?
2 sets of photographs. So a primary photographer and a backup photographer.
And are they each operating independently?
They are.
But are they working basically side by side as these photographs are being taken?
They are.
And what is the purpose of doing that?
Well, the primary photographer takes photographs as to document the scene. The backup photographer takes photographs in case we were to have a mechanical issue with the camera and lose the photographs, or during processing of the photographs, in case something's lost, we have 1 set of photographs. It's also a different perspective. 2 different people, 2 different perspectives.
Of the same items?
Of the same items.
Now, with regard to, and again, is that photographic process, does that again occur exterior to interior?
It does.
And after that process, after the photographing first of the exterior and then of the interior, what would be the next step in the process?
We would start searching for evidence.
Okay. Now let's just talk hypothetically. Hypothetically, if you find something that you believe may have some evidentiary value, what steps do you take at that time?
We document the item of evidentiary value, we video record it, we photograph it further in depth, and then we collect it and seize it.
Okay. Talk about the collection of physical evidence. First of all, if you are collecting a piece of evidence, are you protecting yourself and the integrity of the evidence?
Yes.
By what means?
We wear gloves, we wear face masks, and we wear feet protection.
All right. And that, in theory, if I collect a piece of evidence, what happens to the protective garments or things that you have?
Once that piece of evidence is collected, those garments are discarded and new garments are put on.
So with each piece of subsequent evidence that you test, are you're putting on new sets of protective garments?
We are.
And with regard to then, do you continue to move around and process the interior in that type of a manner?
We do.
hypothetically speaking, if you are collecting, let's say, a liquid, something that you may suspect is blood, how exactly is that collected? How is that processed?
Blood is generally swabbed.
Okay. And can you describe the swabbing process for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
So a swabbing process is basically, you can imagine two type of Q-tip devices, and basically you take those are in packages, you open the package, you swab the area of blood-like substance that you want to take as evidence, and then you reseal it into special packaging, and then you further package it into an envelope.
Let me ask you, you just used the term a blood-like substance. Is that something that you use as a term of art in the processing of physical evidence?
It is.
So, again, hypothetically, if you see something red on the floor at the time that you see it, that you suspect that it may be blood, at that point, how do you reference it?
Blood-like substance.
And prior to collecting it in the swabbing method that you have otherwise just identified, do you do anything or in the process to determine whether, in fact, this is blood?
We identify the area, and then we do a presumptive blood test, which is a Kastle-Myers chemical solution. And basically, we test that area, and if it tests positive for the presence of blood, then we'll further swab the blood. If it tests negative, we won't necessarily swab that area of blood.
All right. So, and again, you used a term of art, Kastle-Myers. Can you sort of just explain for the for the people who are not sitting watching court TV all the time exactly what is the process of sort of testing this for blood?
So Kastle-Myers is a chemical solution, and basically you obtain a sample from the area that you're wishing to take the blood from, and you test it with chemicals, and depending on the reaction during the test, it'll turn a certain color. And if the Q-tip turns a certain color, it'll either react positively or negatively for the presence of blood.
And is that something that you have received training on?
I have.
And is that something that you have experienced in actual application in processing crime scenes?
I've used it in training, and I've used it in dozens of crime scenes.
Now, with regard to then other types of evidence that may not be something like a blood-like substance, let's say a physical piece of evidence, let's just say a garbage pail, that garbage pail there. If you were going to collect a garbage pail, how would you collect it?
I would basically write down a description of what the item is. I would photograph it, I would video record it, and I would find some type of appropriate packaging to place it in. I would place it in the package, I would seal it up, and I would put an evidence label on the front of the package.
And what type of information goes on the evidence label?
The evidence label is basically, it would have our case number, it would have the date and time that we seized the item of evidence, a brief description of the item of evidence, and the investigator that it was seized by.
Now, again, let's say that you're processing a scene that has multiple items of evidentiary value. As part of your documentation, how do you not confuse the various items for your reports?
Each item of evidence is given an evidence number as 1, 2, 3, 4, etc.
And do you have some equipment that you use to help you track each piece of evidentiary items in an area of value?
We do. We have a database on the computer.
How about something physically that you document in place as to where you found something?
I have a notepad.
How about, are you familiar with a placard?
Oh, yes.
And what is a placard?
A placard is basically a plastic piece of material with a number on it.
And what do you do with the placards at a scene?
You place it next to the item of evidence, and you basically take a picture and document that trash can, for example. You would place a placard next to it, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it may be, and take a picture of it with the placard so it shows in the future what number of evidence that is.
And again, as part of your processing, are you processing the items collected together with the placard number, together with the information that appears on the label of the container where the evidence is containerized?
We are.
Okay. So is that a sort of a control number for that particular item?
It is.
So now, with regard to all those generalized steps, did you apply those generalized steps to the assignment that you were undertaking at 6.5 Myrtle Avenue on December the 3rd of 2019 at approximately just before 4 a.m.?
Yes.
Showing you what has been previously marked, states 4. Is that monitor on in front of you?
It is.
No, not that one.
Oh,
That
this monitor, no.
Is that not on? Yeah, please. I just want to be sure. Can you see this monitor?
I can.
So whichever monitor you're more comfortable with. First of all, do you generally recognize what this is?
I do.
And what do you recognize it to be?
It's an overall photograph of the front door to 6.5 Myrtle Ave.
I'm sorry, Attorney Stein, which exhibit are we looking at?
I think it was 4, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And does this appear to be a photograph that was taken by a member of the major crime team that you talked about earlier?
Yes.
And again, is this sort of an exterior view as part of that original steps where you were doing you did a 360 walk around, and now the documentation, do you do a photographic 360?
Yes.
Showing you 5 as a full exhibit. Again, what do you generally recognize that to be?
So that's an overall picture of the front door and front entryway, which is the sole entryway to 6.5 Myrtle Ave.
All right. And again, does this appear to be a picture taken by major crime?
It does.
Showing you state 6 as a full exhibit. Can you tell us what we're seeing here?
This is an overall view from the side of the residence. So basically, this residence had a set of garages below it, and the residence sat on top of the garages.
State 7 as a full exhibit. Would you recognize this to be?
Yes, this is just a different view that shows the front entryway to 6.5 Myrtle Ave, the main entryway.
Is the left side of the building visible in this photo?
It is.
And finally, states 10. Do you recognize this?
I do. So this photograph shows the garage doors below the apartment, and also you can see the back windows on the top portion of the photograph. Those windows they belong to the apartment, and they're currently open.
So during your preliminary walk around with Sergeant Soda, did you note the window open to the resident above the garage door?
We did.
This can go back. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27.
25 through 28.
23 through
23 through 28. Thank you.
Your Honor, I've just shown exhibits 23 through 28 that are marked, and Attorney Gavin has no objection.
No objection to the introduction, Your Honor.
All right, so again, what were those numbers?
23 through 28, Your Honor.
Thank you. Court will accept into evidence as full exhibit, no objection, states 23 through 28. Thank you.
I have one more second.
Okay.
So, Detective, showing you what has now been marked as states 23. Do you generally recognize what this is?
I do. That's an overall photograph of the front door, main entryway of 6.5 Myrtle Ave.
Okay. So now prior to entering, after the walkthrough with the sergeant, prior to entering, or is this now, you've done a walk around, are you beginning your entry into 6.5?
We are.
For purposes of documenting what you find inside?
We are.
Showing you what is now 24, Your Honor, is a door that's slightly ajar with 6.5 Myrtle, with 6.5 number on the door. Do you recognize what are we seeing here, Trooper Dugan?
So in this photograph, the storm door is propped open and the door to the apartment is pushed in and there's damage to the bottom portion of the door and door frame.
Had you received information, excuse me, from the Ansonia Police Department as to how this door was damaged?
Yes, I was told that during Ansonia Police's welfare check initial response that they had to force entry into the apartment because it was locked.
Now, showing you what has been marked as states 25 as a full exhibit, can you tell me whether you recognize what this is?
Yes, so that's a close-up photograph of the locks to the exterior
Okay.
of the main door.
So this is the exterior side of the main door?
Yes.
And why, first of all, what are we seeing here? What did you notice about the locks? What was the purpose of taking this picture?
Purpose of taking this picture is to show that both locks are engaged in the locked position.
All right. And how are you able to determine, at least for the top lock, how are you able to determine that?
Because the deadbolt is out.
And the deadbolt, is that portion there?
Yes, that portion of the deadbolt would go into the door jamb if it were seated properly.
For the purpose of the record, Your Honor, I was pointing with my finger in the middle of the photo, just to the side of the brass lock. There is what appears to be a metallic cylinder that is extended out from the doorway.
Thank you, Attorney Stein.
So, I'm sorry, can you just sort of explain, well, we'll do it on a different photo. So, showing you now 26. What are we seeing here?
So this is a side view of the door locks to the main door. And as you can see, the top deadbolt is engaged.
All right. Did you make any observations with regard to whether there were any keys at all in this lock?
There were no keys in any of the locks.
showing you what has been marked as States 27. Can you tell me whether you recognize what this is?
I do. That's the door jamb or door frame of the main entryway. You can see that it is damaged, and we were told that it was damaged during the Ansonia officer's initial response to the apartment.
So I'm going to zoom in on this center portion of the door jamb and ask you if you're sort of able by words. If not, I would ask you to step down, what the significance of this damage is.
That damage was caused when Ansonia police kicked the door open.
More importantly, I guess, is the mechanics of it. We had the previous exhibits up that showed a piece of metal that's extending out from the lock set. Where would that engage somewhere here in this photograph?
It would on the top portion of the photograph. There's a slot where that cylinder would engage to.
So if this door were closed and the lock was engaged, would that lock sit in this part of the door jamb?
It would.
And that if the door were forced open, what would that cause? What would happen?
It would cause the damage to the door jamb that you're seeing.
And is this the door jamb on the back side here?
Part of it.
And what about this here? What is this?
That's the bottom portion of the lock.
All right, so Attorney Stein, again, we need to make a record. You're doing a lot of what is this, what is that, and unfortunately, transcript won't pick that up.
I got you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Can I just
Attorney-
interject for 1
yeah.
second?
Yes.
Obviously, we can't see what's on that screen, and I'm just wondering if Attorney Stein would use his pointer on the Elmo so that we could all see it, the witness could see it, we could see it, because when he points up on the big screen, we have no idea what
All
he's
right, I
pointing at.
appreciate that concern. Attorney Gavin, that's a valid concern. So Attorney Stein, why don't you please recap that, either by using the Elmo or by perhaps using the actual exhibit itself as a real item and showing it to the witness here by approaching the witness, one of the two.
So with regard to this top portion of the door jamb here, is this the section where the deadbolt would engage the door frame?
Yes.
And that, Your Honor, is in the middle. It's in the middle part of the photograph, and it is a wooden section that appears to be broken out.
All right, on the top. It is in the middle of the photograph, top wooden section that appears to be broken out. You may proceed.
And again, just below that, Detective Dugan, is there a similar part of the wood door jamb that appears to be broken out?
Yes.
And what would this engage?
That would be the lower lock.
And on the opposite side, the left edge of the photograph, is there a piece of broken wood that seems to match up with the broken part that is still connected to the door frame?
Yes.
And showing you what has been marked States 28. Again, what does this depict?
So this photograph was taken from within the entryway of the apartment, looking to the outside, showing the damaged door frame and the door locks that were engaged.
So effectively, have we just gone 360 around the door and the door frame?
We have.
And again, this starting at the top of the photograph and extending 3/4 of the way down on the left side of the picture, this piece of wood, where does that come from?
That's part of the door jamb.
So you have now entered into 6.5, and you have documented the only doorway in and out of this residential unit at that point. Is that fair?
Yes.
And now, as you begin to step into the unit, can you tell us, you told us earlier that you photograph things and video in place before you touch anything?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked as 29. Goes right on that one. Can you generally tell us what this appears to be?
All right, again, so we're in the main hallway or the entryway of the apartment. We're still in the entryway, and that is an overall photograph showing the living room and kitchen and a recycling bin on the entryway of the apartment.
All right, can
May I have 1 second?
Yeah, I don't think I've accepted 29 into the record as full.
So again, working around counterclockwise. This is 32. This is 33. One kitchen. 4. Closer cabinets. 35. Bedroom. 36. Looking out back. 37. This is 38. We stop this one here.
Your Honor, there's a whole series of photographs. I have no objection to the introduction as full exhibits.
Okay,
We
so
are 29, Your Honor, through 39.
29 through 39, defense counsel has had an opportunity to take a look at those, has no objection. Court will accept them into record as full.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back on 29. Again, generally, can you tell us what this is?
So we just passed the front doorway. We're in the main entryway or hallway of the apartment, and we're looking in. So we see the living room and the kitchen and a recycling bin on the right-hand side of the photograph.
And what's the approximate distance? How long is this foyer, this entryway into the unit?
It's tiled, and it's about 4 to 5 feet long.
And you mentioned this recycling bin. Would it be important, or did you ultimately document the contents of this recycling bin?
We did.
Showing you what has been marked as states 30. Did you, is this what was inside that recycling bin?
It was.
And again, I think on the bottom portion of the photograph, is that the black pail that these items were contained inside?
It is.
And zooming in on just several of the items, does this appear to be water bottles, beer cans, Coke bottle, juice bottle of some sort? Is that what was contained in there?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked now as states 31. Can you generally identify what this is?
Yes, so as you enter the apartment, you walk on the tiled floorway for about 4 to 5 feet, and then you enter the living portion of the apartment, which is a carpet or rug. And it's a gray-colored rug, and in this photograph, the gray-colored rug has a large portion of reddish stains on the rug.
And what was the purpose of taking this picture?
To document the stains.
And first of all, just again to acclimate, with my finger in the bottom right-hand corner of the photograph, is that the black recycling bin?
It is.
Where my finger is now on the carpeting area on the center to right side, is this the blood-stained area, or I'm sorry, is this the red-stained area that you observed?
It is.
Again, from states 32, can you tell me if you generally recognize what this is?
Yes, so this, you enter the apartment, and if you're entering the apartment from the main doorway and you look to the right,
Would that be from here where my finger is? Again, is this the black garbage pail? on
that's the
right
black,
side?
yes.
Entering in and, I'm sorry, to continue with what you were describing?
So you enter into the apartment, and this is the right side of the apartment. This is what we saw.
And is this a photograph that was taken documenting the original condition as you found it?
It is.
Continuing, states 33, do you recognize generally what this is?
I do. So again, we're in the main living area of the apartment, and we're looking towards what is the kitchen of the apartment. And as you're looking at this, you can see the kitchen sink, kitchen cabinets with child safety locks. You can see a kitchen island. And of note on this photograph, you can see candles that are burning.
Well, let's come to a couple of things. First of all, there appears in the back of the photograph, along this wall here, on the right side of the photograph, Your Honor, appears purple and gray drapes. Are you aware what is behind those drapes?
Windows.
Okay. Do you know which window?
Those were the windows that we saw from the outside. Those windows were found to be open.
Is that the bay window in the back of the house above the garage?
It is.
All right. So those drapes are directly behind the open bay window.
They are.
And you made mention about candles. Do you see anything in this photograph that indicates what you're referring to?
Yes, you can see the candles to the right of the water bottle.
For the record, Your Honor, it's there's a water bottle in the center of the photograph, and there's what appears to be a burning candle to the right. Did you also happen to take note of, on the cabinets, what are these white things?
Those are child safety locks.
And did you notice whether they were engaged or disengaged?
They were all engaged or otherwise in the locked position.
Showing you 34 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me again what's the overall point of view of this photograph?
So this would be an overall photograph of the kitchen. Now we're looking towards the left side of the apartment. And in this photograph, you can see the kitchen sink. You can see the candles that are burning on the island. You can see the stove. You can see the microwave.
And again, back on the candles for a second. Is this zooming in on this, the bottom portion of the picture, Your Honor? Are all three of these candles burning?
They're all burning, and they appear to have been burning for a period of time.
And how are you able to reach that conclusion?
Because you can see the liquid from the candle in a liquid state and not in a wax state.
And approximately now, what time would these pictures have been taken?
After 3:45 in the morning.
Okay, on Tuesday, December the 3rd.
Correct.
States 35, generally recognize what this is.
Yes, that's an overall view of the kitchen. That just shows the kitchen floor, the kitchen sink, and it shows all the door locks or the child safety locks on the kitchen cabinets.
.36. What do you recognize as the bin?
So if you enter the apartment from the doorway and you're standing in the middle of the apartment and you look left, this appears to be a bedroom area of the apartment. And in this photograph, you see a bed that has no comforter, no sheets on it, and other bedding and clothing items surrounding the bed.
.37. Can you generally identify what this is?
So now we are standing next to the bed, looking towards the main entryway of the apartment. And in this photograph, you see the fan, you see the dresser, and you see the lower portion of the bed, or the foot portion of the bed.
All right. Now, with regard to, there's a set of what appear to be bifold doors over here on this right side of the photograph. Is there any, and appears to be some bleach bottles. Is there anything over in that area?
It's a small closet area.
And what was in the closet?
Clothes and cleaning products.
Was there a washer and a dryer in there?
There was.
And .38 is a full exhibit. Do you generally recognize what this is?
I do. So this photograph was taken basically from the center of the apartment. To the right, you'll see the dresser that was in the bedroom portion of the apartment. And this is to the bathroom of the apartment. This is the main entryway to the bathroom.
All right. Now, can you just, again, acclimate us? What is this item, right side of the photograph, brown item? What is that item?
That would be the dresser that's in the bedroom portion of the apartment.
So was there a wall, or was this dresser being used functionally as a divider?
As a divider.
And what is immediately to the left of this photograph that is not depicted in the photograph?
The main entryway to the apartment.
And finally, showing you states 39 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me generally whether you recognize what this is?
So this is a closer view. As you enter the bathroom, this is the view that you see as you enter the bathroom. So you can see the bathroom sink, and there's 2 candles on the bathroom sink. One is burning, the other is not.
And again, zooming in, is that the candle that is still burning when you documented this at about sometime after 3:45 a.m. on December the 3rd of 2019?
Yes, and it's not represented great in this photograph, but the candle had been burning for a period of time, as there is liquid in the candle and it's not in the wax form.
This may be an appropriate breaking point, Your Honor.
All right. So the time is 3:22. Court's going to stand in the afternoon recess. So we will be in recess for 15 minutes. We'll be back for the continuation of evidence after that. Again, I'll just remind the jurors to regard their instructions under the oath. Thank you. Court's in recess. It's my understanding that we're going to have additional exhibits introduced. Attorney Gavin, I was anticipating an objection relative
Yes.
to perhaps some of the exhibits because you were kind enough to bring it to the court's attention earlier before we brought the jury in and had to remove the jury. So at this point in time, are you prepared to move forward on an objection relative to anticipated evidence? All right, why don't I hear that on the record now before we bring the jury in?
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the state breaking at this juncture. Your Honor, pre-marked for identification purposes are exhibits 40 through 47.
All right, and who has those exhibits?
I do.
May I see them, please? Thank you, Attorney Stein. All right, and Attorney Gavin?
Your Honor, obviously there's evidence that there was a death in this case. Sergeant Barrera testified to it. This is no the photos that Her Honor had. Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes, yes.
Those are not there. Oh, Your Honor, do you? I'm sorry, I'm far away, but
You can
do have
approach the
photos-
bench. You
Do
can-
you have photographs from the tub?
I do.
Okay, that's what I'm sorry, I couldn't see that.
It's okay.
So I have a blanket objection that there is no need to have duplicative photos in regard to the corpse of Christine Holloway being found in the bathtub. We understand that that's the case. There's been testimony to it, and Dr. Jim Gill is going to come in and testify in regard to the autopsy. My objection, Your Honor, is that those photos are cumulative. They do not provide any additional forensic evidence that's relevant to the case. They're prejudicial for their admission purposes, and I would respectfully suggest that the prejudicial effect of that set of evidence is outweighed by its probative value. So I'm going to object, and perhaps there's a way to cull through them and use one or two of them, but the state would have to describe what the significance of each one of those photos are. Thank you.
All right. Attorney Stein?
Yes, Your Honor. As this matter was discussed previously in chambers between the parties, I could tell the court that there were dozens and dozens of photographs taken. I have culled them down to separate photographs that I have a distinct purpose for using each one as an overall representation of the crime scene and the state of Christine Holloway when she was found on December the 2nd and into the early morning hours of December the 3rd of 2019. The probative value far outweighs any prejudicial effect, and I would ask that the court admit all of the exhibits.
Okay. All right, and so, Attorney Gavin, you've had an opportunity to review all of these exhibits, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear. So 40 through 47, there are a lot of exhibits here, and some depict something such as blood on a wall, okay? So I'm just trying to make sure that you have an objection to each and every single one of these exhibits coming in as a full exhibit. And one appears to be a picture of a window. So I just want to make sure I'm making a clear record. So did you both want to approach the bench perhaps and just point out by number or just pull out any exhibits that you, if you don't have an objection, pull out those exhibits for the court. Yes. Certainly. Okay, thank you.
46.
We are.
I'll get these back to you.
Certainly. You're welcome. All right, so I'll just note for purposes of the record that the attorneys did approach the bench for a sidebar to go through the exhibits, and I will hold this one up. It appears to be a picture of a bathroom, interior of a shower or tub perhaps, and then a window. That was marked as 44 for ID. Attorney Gavin, you have no objection to
I have
that
no
photo?
objection to that.
All right, so the court's ruling will not take into consideration that,
Thank you.
that particular photo. So that leaves the court with 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, I'm sorry, 45, not 44, 46 and 47. 44 is not at issue.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to add,
No,
Attorney
Your Honor,
Gavin?
just that obviously it's the same photograph from different vantage points. We're not disputing and we're not contesting the fact that Christine's body was found in the bathtub. So there's got to be some reason that the state can proffer, that there's some forensic reason to go ahead and repeatedly show the jury the same photographs from different perspectives over and over. I think it's highly prejudicial, especially the last set of them. Thank you.
The little word that Attorney Gavin threw in there, forensic, is not any grounds for whether I can use a photograph as a fair and accurate representation for this jury to see. And if there's individual pieces of evidence that may have some significant value in each one of those photographs, then it is my right to be able to display and to make those determinations to the jury out of the dozens of photos that the police took. This was a mindful paring down of this information, and to exclude it would be highly prejudicial to the state. The probative value is certainly present.
All right, thank you. So the court has had the opportunity to take a look at each of these proposed exhibits that have been marked for identification purposes. In general, the court will state for the record they do propose to depict a deceased woman's body in a bathroom tub. There are various angles and various portions of the body that are basically zoomed in on. I think that Attorney Gavin's objection goes to the fact that there are multiple pictures depicting a body basically in what I'll describe as a gruesome condition. I understand your objection, Attorney Gavin. However, I just want to point out a few things. There are no duplicates in terms of these photos. They are taken from different perspectives, and they do depict various close-ups of certain areas of the body. These are not 4 or 5 photos of the same exact thing. They are photos that depict with clarity certain areas of the body that can't be seen in certain photos. For instance, exhibit number 40 appears to depict a woman in a bathtub from a distance back. Does include the woman's head down, almost a full body shot, but not entirely. The exhibit number 41 that's being offered does not show the body in full, shows perhaps some skin of the body, maybe a shoulder or back. I can't tell. I didn't take the photo, so I'm not sure, but really the main gist of this photo appears to be a red blood-like substance on the tile wall. 42 is taken from a different angle and shows additional parts of the body, which includes multiple legs and various areas of that leg, as well as additional blood-like substance on the base of the bathtub. Proposed 43 shows a portion of the body. Again, you're not getting the full view of the body. You're getting a different area of the bathroom, which includes a bathroom or a pink garment hanging on a bathroom door. Now, 45 is a close-up photo of the face of a woman, and that face is not shown in any of the other photos. 46 is also a picture concerning the upper portion of that particular female body, and that shows the side of that body's head, again, not depicted in any of the other photos necessarily. And then the photo 47 actually shows, appears to be the back of that body, again, not clearly depicted in any of the other photos. So the photos do not appear to be cumulative. Relative to the prejudicial effect of the photos due to their gruesome nature, I just want to point out that the information in this case charges murder. I also want to point out that the information charges murder due to the striking of Christine Holloway multiple times in the head and torso with an instrument that created several round-shaped marks that measured approximately 1 inch in diameter, severely fracturing her skull and causing other blunt force injuries, which resulted in her death. So the state has quite the burden to prove and has to enter into evidence, facts that will support issues, including but not limited to death, intent to cause death, manner of death, and these photos and pictures are relevant with respect to that. I do not find that they are cumulative. I find that they are relative to the facts set forth in the amended information as just read into the record. I believe that each of these photos will establish specific facts and have individual relevancy concerning the nature of the charges and the elements that the state is required to prove. I have balanced these multiple photographs. They serve an evidentiary purpose that is not overly prejudicial to the defendant, given the charge here and given what is depicted in each of those photographs, wherefore the court finds the probative value is outweighed. It does outweigh any prejudicial effect, wherefore the court would be inclined to allow these photos to come in as full exhibits. And I'm glad we did this outside the presence of the jury, and I do appreciate the cooperation of counsel in raising the issue outside the presence of the jury. Counsel, if you'd please retrieve the exhibits.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And let me just give you the other one, which was not, no, Attorney Stein. Yeah, thank you.
Can we assume that they're all full exhibits?
If the state wishes to go ahead and mark them as full exhibits right now, I mean, listen, Attorney Gavin, let me just say this. Relevant to your argument, I would be inclined to mark them as full exhibits. However, I've not heard a foundation for them yet. If you're not contesting the foundation, then I'm fine, and we'll go ahead and mark them. Or we can lay the foundation with the witness, and I'll make an ultimate decision.
I prefer to do that. I just don't want to interrupt the process
Right.
here.
Okay, so I have to make a clear record, obviously. So with respect to their prejudicial nature, your objection is overruled. I would be inclined to allow them in as a full exhibit. However, I am not making that determination unless you agree to the foundational aspect of the documents.
And I'm sure that the detective can go ahead and do that. I just don't want to stand up and object on every photo.
Okay.
So if the court would just accept my blanket objection as has been discussed in the colloquy,
Okay.
then
All right, so we'll lay the foundation with
Yeah,
the
that would be great.
with the detective if that was your intent. And Attorney Stein, you can do that, and you can also probably do that in general as a group of photos if you want to do that first, and then you can go through each of the photos so that we could deal with that overall objection and we don't have to do it one by one. So
Very good, Your
I
Honor.
leave that to you, whatever you're most comfortable with. It's your case. You
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Was there anything else?
May I just inquire, I noticed it's 5 to 4, what time the court thinks, so I can sort of understand where a logical breaking point will be for me.
So Attorney Stein, approximately how much longer do you have with this particular witness?
He will not be completed today.
Okay, so then what I would like to do is, I know we have something else we need to discuss off the record too, so why don't we make sure that we wrap up by 4:30 today if we have to come back tomorrow anyway.
Very good.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Unless, if you're right close to a certain segment, just, go over a little bit, but if you could just keep an eye on the clock, that'd be great.
Very good.
Okay. All right.
I would just, again, ask the court that this would be an opportunity for anybody who might be upset by these images
All right.
to exit the courtroom.
All right, so for the record, I mean, we do this generally for spectators and/or family members of the victim, et cetera, when we're going to place materials into the record that may be deemed sensitive. So I just want to let viewers know, or anyone sitting in the courtroom, if you have access to viewing the screens here that display the exhibit, that the exhibits that are going to be displayed shortly when the jury comes in will most likely contain some sensitive materials. So if you find that sensitive materials will upset you or you'll find those disturbing, perhaps this would be a good time to turn away from the display of the exhibits as the trial proceeds forward.
My concern as well, I would just ask the court that if anyone becomes upset, any sort of displays would be interruptive of my presentation to the jury and distracting to the jury.
All right. So yes, obviously we can't control our emotions and we can't control our feelings, but if I do have members of the audience who feel that they would get upset and they decide to stay, or they don't think they would get upset and decide to stay and at any time feel that they are getting upset by the display or discussion of this particular material, I would ask you please to do your best to preclude the jury from seeing that emotion, and if so necessitated, if it's that much of an emotional response that you feel it's visible to the jury, I would ask you to use your best judgment and exit the courtroom so that the jury does not have to see that without there having to be an interruption by counsel or the marshals. Thank you. Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Not from
All right, let's bring the jury in. Thank you.
This has got to be contained in the DNA report stuff that we're taking out of here, okay? Because
Counsel, if you'd stipulate to the return of our jury.
Stipulate the
all
presence.
14, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Attorney Stein, you may, well, call your witness back to the stand. Thank you. Welcome back. Please come on up and have a seat. And I just want to remind you that you do remain under the obligations of your oath, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Attorney Stein, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach?
You may.
Detective Dugan, showing you what has been marked, states 40 for identification, 41 for identification, 42 for identification, 43 for identification, 45 for identification, 44 is a full exhibit, Your Honor.
You can move for it to be full. I'll hear no objection on
No,
that.
40,
objection.
44 was
44?
the one.
No, I know, but I just didn't do it yet.
And I have no objection to that introduction as a full
44 is a full exhibit, please.
All right, so court will accept into evidence states 44 with no objection. Thank you.
45 for identification. 46 for identification. And 47 for identification. Can you tell me, Detective Dugan, first of all, do you recognize what these items are?
I do.
And what do you recognize them to be?
They are overall photographs of the victim as we found her.
Would this be the victim at 6.5?
Objection to the term victim, Your Honor. There's nobody's been established as a victim in this.
Okay, so.
Well, Your Honor, it's a pejorative term. The woman, I believe, is dead. I think her victimization can be.
Okay, so we're going to refer to the woman as the decedent. I am going to sustain the objection. I'm going to strike the term victim, and we're going to move on. Thank you.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of the decedent as you found her on December 3rd of 2019?
Yes,
And were you present when these photographs were taken?
I was.
I would offer them, Your Honor.
So do they represent fairly and accurately what they depict in the photograph?
They do.
All right. I'll go ahead and find that the proper foundation was laid. Attorney Gavin, your running objection on those exhibits is noted, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, court will accept them into evidence as full exhibits.
May I publish them, Your Honor?
Of course.
I left you off, Detective Dugan, before the break. The last photograph that you saw was stepping up to the bathroom and then a deeper shot into the bathroom where you described a candle that was in place. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And then again, as part of the overall documentation, did you step into that bathroom?
I did.
And did you make an observation as to a bathtub?
I did.
And what did you see in the bathtub?
The decedent.
Showing you what has been marked as states 40 as a full exhibit. Can you tell me, generally, do you recognize this photograph?
I do.
And what do you recognize this to be?
That's the decedent. Who was?
I'm sorry. Did you ultimately, did you determine a name?
Yes.
And what was the decedent's name?
Christine Holloway.
Now, within this photograph, clearly there is a body present in the photograph. I'm going to zoom in to a certain extent on that portion of the photograph, which quality is not very good, but as you're looking, and this, Your Honor, is left bottom corner of the photograph, just proximate to the victim's abdomen area. There is an item that is depicted just to the right side of the victim's abdomen. Are you able to see that, Detective Dugan?
I am.
And are you able to identify for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that item is?
That's the decedent's brain.
And showing you states 41. Can you tell me if you generally recognize what this is? And I'm trying to improve the light here.
I do. That's the back portion of the shower. It's a tiled wall, and that is above the decedent's head, and that's a bunch of blood patterns believed to be from the decedent on the wall.
Objection. This officer is not qualified to go ahead and testify what that substance is. It's a red-like substance. Somebody from the lab can come in and testify what it was. I object to the response.
I object to the speaking objection as to who the appropriate foundation.
All right, guys. So the objection is a reasonable objection, Attorney Stein. I understand your speaking objection regarding who can come in and testify. So we're going to keep this trial clean. I am going to sustain the objection. I'm going to strike the portion of the witness's testimony which stated that the area on the tile was a blood pattern of any type, okay? So this witness has not been qualified as an expert witness, so that is going to be stricken. If you wrote it down in your notebooks, please cross it out.
Detective Dugan, can you tell me, have you received training in blood patterns?
Yes.
And can you tell us about your training?
So the training consists of blood-like substances and blood patterns and what happens when those substances come in contact with materials.
Okay. And when did you go to this training?
During my time as a detective.
All right. And how many crime scenes approximately have you participated in?
Dozens.
And with regard to, let me ask you, this blood-like substance, right, that you observed, was there a body in proximity to it?
Yes.
Did that body appear to be bleeding?
Yes.
Did there appear to be blood-like substances all around the body?
Yes.
Blood, do you either have a basis in training or general knowledge? Is blood viscous at some point in time?
It is.
And is viscosity an element of being in a liquid state?
Yes.
And something that is liquid, if it's on, for instance, if I've got blood on my hand and I take this blood and I come in contact with another surface, will I transfer that viscous material to another surface?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for speculation. This gentleman has no ability to testify to that.
He has received training in just this precise.
I haven't heard enough about the training or the experience at this point in time to qualify this person to give an opinion relative to this attorney's time.
Trooper Dugan, did you receive training in analyzing blood-like material or blood-like substances with regard to the patterns that it leaves at crime scenes?
I did.
Did they talk to you about blood transfer?
They did.
And can you explain to the court what a blood transfer is?
Blood transfer is transferred from a source to an object, and when it interacts with that object, it'll form different patterns.
And is it possible for blood to be transferred from one place to another?
It is.
Why do you wear protective clothing when you enter into a crime scene?
To not contaminate the scene.
Okay. And is it possible that if you're moving around blood, that you can get it on your clothing or on your body?
It is.
And so what is the purpose of the protected clothing?
It's to protect the scene and it's to protect myself.
So to the extent that if you move from one part of the scene to another, if you've got blood on you, do you change your protective clothing?
We do.
And what is the purpose of doing that?
To not contaminate the scene and to not transfer materials throughout the scene.
Because if you have something on your material and you walk someplace else, can you put it where it didn't originally exist?
You can.
And in terms of this type of transfer, and then the types of patterns that people can have related to viscous blood-like fluid, can someone look at that and make assumptions or make determinations as to the blood and its movement?
They can.
To the form of the question, calls for speculation. It's not qualified.
It doesn't, with all due respect to the court. Viscosity or a drip, for instance, something that...
Okay, Attorney Stein, you're not going to testify to this court.
Can I be heard outside the presence of the jury, please? With regard to laying the foundation...
Possibly with regard to laying foundation, perhaps this should be done outside the presence of the jury. Court's going to ask the jury to step out. Please leave your notebooks behind. Sir, you may be seated. So Attorney Stein, you're asking this particular witness to provide an opinion.
I understand.
He hasn't been qualified as an expert. If you would like to work through the attempt to qualify him as an expert relative to whatever question you'd like to ask him, you can go ahead and try to lay that foundation now outside the presence of the jury, and I will give Attorney Gavin an opportunity to also voir dire the witness.
Approaching, we have States 41 back up on the monitor, which is a full exhibit. You testified to what do you believe this to be?
Objection, Your Honor.
Well,
I thought this hearing was in regard to his qualifications to testify.
Well, it is. So let me first start with, what is the question that you would like to ask in front of the jury, Attorney Stein?
Well, again, the question is that in terms of his testimony, is from this blood, he would be prepared to testify that the blood was, that blood.
What is the question that you intend to ask?
What does this pattern indicative of? What does this pattern tell you?
It's blood transfer from her head on the wall.
And what does this pattern, or what does this, what are the significant patterns that you see here with regard to what happened to the blood once it was transferred to the wall?
When she was being placed in the tub, her head came into contact with the wall and was moving in a back and forth motion, or side to side motion.
And how were you able to determine that?
You can tell by looking at the blood pattern and the blood in her hair. And I believe in some portion of those photographs, there's pictures of hair. It came into contact.
Zooming in on States 41, do you see the hair which you reference?
I do.
And again, these patterns here, what do these patterns on the right side of the photograph where my finger is, what do they say to you with regard to the blood that was transferred to the wall?
That shows me that her head was in contact with the wall and he was moving in a side to side direction.
Would you refer to those as swipe marks?
I would.
And with regard then to 42.
Okay, Attorney Stein, let's get to this witness's qualifications to be able to make those conclusions or render those
Can
opinions.
you tell us about the training? Tell us about the training that you received. When was it? How long was it? Have you received refreshment in any of those topics through either in service or in other manners? And tell us about your experience with these patterns over the course of your career.
I've seen dozens of these patterns at crime scenes throughout my career, and blood pattern analysis is taught in everywhere from basic crime scene processing, advanced crime scene processing, and it's also talked about in the NESPAC crime scene class, which I was just taken as of December of last year.
So hold on a minute. Sir, you answered that it's seen in different types of trainings. Specific to your training, what training have you had specific to blood pattern splatter?
I've taken two blood spattering classes, and I've taken these other classes that have talked about blood seen in the classes.
Okay. You may continue, Attorney Stein.
So with regard to those classes, were you taught, was it otherwise part of the lecture with regard to transfer of blood from one place to another?
Yes,
And if that blood becomes moved or disturbed, does it leave a pattern?
it does.
And if something that's viscous goes to something else, could it create a pattern such as a drip mark?
It could.
And did you look at these patterns pursuant to your training and your experience at 6.5 Myrtle Ave on December 3rd of 2019?
I did.
Sir, did you receive training on how to analyze these patterns?
To interpret them, not to analyze them.
Okay.
An interpretation is different than a physical analyzation of the components of the property.
Yes.
So with regard to that, Your Honor, I would be offering him as an expert for the purpose of offering his opinion as to the interpretation of those patterns based upon what he saw at the scene.
Attorney Gavin, do you want to voir dire the witness?
There's no reliable evidence before the court that this gentleman is qualified to go ahead and opine in regard to blood splatter evidence. The fact that he's taken a class or two at some point, which we don't know when, he just testified that he took a class last year. This is a 2019 incident. He is not an expert in blood spatter. He's the lead case investigator. He was offered by the state to go ahead and indicate what evidence was received, photographic video evidence, not blood splatter evidence, Your Honor. And what we're doing here now is we're putting the officer in a position where he's trying to have him testify to BLS blood-like stains when there's no evidence whatsoever that that's blood. Thank you.
First of all, with regard to his training, he has established that his background is a detective in major crime. He's been doing this for well over a decade. With regard to that, he's testified that in various trainings leading up to this position, and he named the courses that they receive information as part of their training with regard to processing blood transfer and interpreting patterns to understand movements at a crime scene. With regard to his experience, he has indicated he has done this at dozens of crime scenes during his time with the Connecticut State Police major crime. And with regard to his recent training, even if that training were not in effect, his ability to look at this evidence in conjunction with the recent training that he's received and offer an opinion. Experts frequently who have never actually been to a scene in all kinds of cases can look at photographic evidence and offer an opinion based upon their training and experience. I think that it is reasonable and logical. The jury will be able to gather information from that interpretation, which is probative of the activities of December the 2nd of 2019.
All right. Attorney Gavin?
What the court hasn't heard is he's never been qualified as an expert, as a blood spatter expert.
Okay.
He's never testified in that regard.
Here's the thing. So first of all, the qualifications are minimal at best. There's been no prior testimony. He wasn't disclosed as an expert witness. In addition to that, the jury does not need an expert opinion to draw the conclusion by way of inference that that red blood-like substance on that wall was transferred somehow, okay? And then they also have a body with blood on it in the bathtub. I am not going to allow this particular witness, based on his qualifications and his specific role at this crime, which is to document the evidence, to testify as to the means of the transfer of the blood-like substance onto that wall. That testimony and that opinion was not disclosed, number one. And number two, I don't think he's qualified, and I don't believe that the state has met the obligations that they need to meet relative to the expert qualification and the way in which this would assist the jury at this point in time. And the picture basically speaks for itself. There's hair in the blood-like substance. He can testify as to any of the specific findings, but I will not allow him to provide his opinion as to how those materials got onto that back portion of the tub. Anything further?
Thank you, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we'll bring the jury back in.
I have
Welcome back. You may be seated as you come in. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you. All right, counsel, please stipulate to the return of all of our jurors here.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, objection was sustained. You will not be hearing any answer to the question. Attorney Gavin, there was nothing the court needed to strike, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
And we'd stipulate the presence of the jury.
Thank you. Attorney Gavin, you may proceed.
Wait a second.
You may proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back on States 41, with regard to this photograph, are you able to tell us, did you physically look at this blood-like substance on the wall?
I did.
And did you make a determination, was there anything else that appeared to be a part of that blood-like substance?
There's hair-like fibers on the wall.
Now, showing you 43 as a full exhibit. Again, do you generally recognize, is this again still the bathroom area around the tub?
It is.
And specifically, I want to call out in this photograph, the shower curtain. Again, your testimony was you go around and that you document things as they existed. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Did any member of your team put the shower curtain in that position for the purpose of photographing or otherwise doing anything with regard to the scene?
No.
Is that how you found the shower curtain at the time of your examination of 6.5 Myrtle Ave?
Yes.
And again, showing you 42 now as a full exhibit. Can you tell me whether you recognize what this is?
Yes, that's an overall view of the decedent in the tub.
And does this appear to be from the standing over the body looking down?
Yes.
And what does this appear to be, or what was the purpose of this angle on the photograph?
To show a blood transfer on the tub.
And does, again, are you referring to the blood-like substance which is depicted in the right-hand corner of the tub?
I am.
And is there similarly a blood-like substance trailing away from the area where you had previously identified that there was a brain there trailing away in the direction of the tub?
Yes, it's traveling towards the drain.
Did you also directly, or do you recognize what States 44 is as a full exhibit?
I do. That's a picture towards the front of the shower where the shower controls would be and the shower head would be. Above that, that's a picture of a window that's open.
Is Is it a window?
A skylight.
And is this the same tub area where the decedent's body is found?
It is.
Yeah, 44. Thank you. This may be a logical breaking point, Your Honor, based on our previous timing discussions.
Okay. All right. So we are going to be adjourning for the day. Before we do that, of course, I just want to remind the jurors of their obligations under your oath. I know that seems repetitive, but I am duty-bound to do that every day because it is really that important. So please, again, avoid any publicity about this case and any contact to or from anyone, and all of the other instructions that I gave you regarding your oath and your responsibility as jurors in this case. Have a good evening, and we'll see the jurors back tomorrow morning at 9:30. Thank you.